must enforce COVID-19 mandates. Owen Paterson, a British lawmaker at the centre of a lobbying scandal, has resigned from Parliament. And an analyst who was a key source for a 2016 dossier against Donald Trump has been arrested on charges of lying to the FBI. There's more from us on Twitter @FeatureStory. And that is the latest Feature Story news. Simon Marks reporting.
Allison Fry and Peter Hartman are a long-term couple. They've been trying out an open relationship that frees them to emotionally burden and exhaust other people.
We're both grown-ups. We both trust each other. It just seemed like the right time to open ourselves up to meeting other people and barraging them with our crippling emotional neediness.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still want to vent to Allison about all the anxieties I have at the office until she wishes I would just shut the up. But sometimes you just get the urge to sap the life out of a different woman for a change.
The flexible arrangement has allowed Fry and Hartman to participate in a variety of tiresome and psychologically draining one-off encounters with partners ranging from close acquaintances to total strangers.
Of course, there was a time when I couldn't imagine saddling anyone but Peter with my extensive emotional baggage and trust issues, but now that we've tried it...
The best part is, when we're back together, all we really want to do is drain the living out of each other.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Hey, welcome to Free Talk Live. The phones are open for you should you wish to join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. The number here is 603-283-6160, and you can bring up anything. That's 603-283-6160. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Matt, and Joa.
We got all kinds of interesting stuff to talk about tonight, including some stuff that personally happened to you last night, Joa. You and Press NH Now, another one of the First Amendment auditors that is active here in New Hampshire. Want to get into that for sure. Plus, Matt, I know you are hot on talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that is ongoing, correct? Mm-hmm. And so we certainly covered what happened with Kyle when the event happened last year. I have not yet covered anything from the trial. So
really? We're from first time night?
Yeah, this will be fresh for me at least. I don't know about Joa as far as how much he's been following it.
A little bit. I haven't really read into it too much.
But you've been too damn busy with all kinds of real-life, local town corruption here in New Hampshire. And you teased me a little bit earlier today because we were both out at the same trial for Footloose, who is one of our regular callers and sometime guests here on Free Talk Live. And we definitely can talk about what happened with his trial. It was super entertaining, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
But we'll get into that. But last night, you were up in some little town called Charlestown, New Hampshire, at a town hall meeting? What the hell happened there?
A selectman meeting.
Why were you there in the first place? Because that's normally a really boring thing to go and do is attend a selectman meeting.
I mean, generally this is a boring town. I mean, it's just kind of a drive-through town. Mm-hmm. You can't really drive through right now because the road's close. But there's the precursor is that my friend, Press NH Now, YouTuber as well, he was he did some records requests, and the chief made sure that he had to go into the police station. And he told people not to call, and they just, thousands of calls were coming in. And,
hold on.
Yeah.
So, wait. So, in New Hampshire, there's a thing called a 91A. This is the public records request. He filled out a couple of 91A forms.
Correct.
And sent them in asking for what? Do you have any idea what he was asking for?
I think it was records of the incident that occurred when he was filming over at Wayland, which they make like police sirens and lights. Mm-hmm. And he had an interaction with the police there. It wasn't really kind on the chief's end of things. And he did a records request, and he wanted to do it by email.
For like a police report or something like that.
Yeah, he wanted to get the calls and the incident report of that event.
So what? He was just outside of a private company. He wasn't like on their property.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
like that? Okay.
Yeah. And so he showed the chief wanted him to come in. He didn't want to email him.
This is a bad thing, right? Like if the cops say, "Yeah, just come on down to the station."
Yeah.
Usually they have something in mind that is not exactly what you're expecting, and it's probably unpleasant.
Sure. And the thing is like, he has a lot of followers. Mm-hmm. Let's put it that way. And he told them specifically, do not call. And he did not.
And this was like what, on a report where he's just like updating his followers on what's happening. Like, okay, the police want me to go down. I'm gonna go, but don't call him. Basically.
Well, yeah, because like he doesn't want them to have their business interrupted, so he can get his records request that he was told to go pick up there. And the chief didn't like the fact that his supporters were calling in. He told them, "Do not call."
Yeah.
Next thing you know,
the people are gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and exactly. Like he doesn't control what his supporters do, and they just started calling, and the chief recognized it and asked the clerk if that's what's going on, and he's like, "All right, you're under arrest for inciting," and he basically got charged with
inciting.
What do you call it? Disrupting like government business, or it's
obstructing government administration.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So he got that. You got arrested.
I was arrested for that, but I was actually standing in front of a police cruiser, which is a bit of a more strong argument that you're actually obstructing something. In that case, they're saying that because they had to answer the phone,
right?
Their administration's being obstructed.
They've gotten tens of thousands of calls in the last week.
That's Charlestown, New Hampshire. Don't call Charlestown, New Hampshire.
Whatever you do, don't call Charlestown, New Hampshire.
And well, yeah. So the police chief, he just acted out, and that occurred. And the next thing you know,
so hold on, did he ever go down to actually pick up the records?
Yeah, he got.
That's
them in
when
hand.
they arrested him.
Yeah, he got him in hand, and they got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, so then he decided to go to the city clerk, like the town hall
after he got bailed out.
Yeah, the city office, the town office. And when he was in there, the selectman, actually the chair selectman, decided...
Is this yesterday?
This was a few days ago.
Okay, a few days. Okay.
Yeah, and then, so this happened a couple days after that incident occurred. So, like, these are 3 days now.
Yeah, okay.
And the selectman decided to assault him, rough him up, and... And grabbed his...
On camera.
Yeah, grabbed his recording device, which is like the gimbal that keeps your phone steady, right? And he kept that. And he muscled them out of the...
Hold on. So he grabbed the gimbal and gave him his phone back?
No, well...
or took both?
Press NHL was able to recover the phone part.
I see.
But his name is Jeff Lessel.
Jeff Lessel,
and
the head selectman.
Yes.
That's the equivalent of a city councilor, basically.
Sure, yeah. He's the one that controls the meetings and everything. He decided to put hands on, and he didn't give back the gimbal. He had to, Press NHL had to call the state police because of the conflict of interest of the charges with the police chief. So the state police show up, get his gimbal back, and he files charges against him right there. We don't know exactly what's going on with those charges, but we decided, Press had bail conditions at this point. So he can't go on any town properties, right? So he wanted back.
Wait a minute. So he gets arrested at the police station the previous day or whatever.
Yeah.
Is released on bail for that arrest with he can't go on town property?
Unless he has official business, which he did.
Okay, got it.
But going to a selectment meeting, he's not a resident, right? So he doesn't live in the town. I don't mean to dox you, man. I mean, I'm telling you where you don't live.
Yeah.
But I went to the selectment meeting. I went to go record that.
This was last night.
This was last night.
Okay.
Correct. And
hold on, just for one moment. We're getting a little too far ahead.
Sure.
So he's at the town offices for business, which was what, records?
Yeah, he went to go file
another records
yes.
request. So he goes to the town offices. That's when this guy from the town council confronts him, attacks him, assaults him, batters him, grabs his gimbal. He calls the state police, gets his gimbal back, goes home, makes a note of, okay, here's the next selectman meeting. It happens to be a couple days later, and then comes back, because that's town business too, so he can go to a selectman's meeting.
Well, no. I don't want to speak for him, but I think he got direction from his lawyer not to step on any town property.
Oh, so he didn't go to the selectmen's meeting.
Right. He had me go there, and we had actually Footloose. Footloose was there as well. Well,
he didn't tell you what to do. He just told you about the meeting.
I'm there.
Yeah.
He needs help. I'm there for him. That's for sure. So he can tell me whatever he wants for me to do. I'd tell you that. I'm right next to him all the way. But yeah, no. Went to select meeting, and I had a troll there. He was getting in my face, and everyone was being kind of disruptive in one way or another. But when I spoke out, when the guy was getting right in front of my camera, I was like, point of order.
Before you go into this, had the meeting started? Or was this pre-meeting of this troll comes up and
this? Yeah, actually, the troll grabbed the chair, put it right in front of me. Actually, he almost put it on my foot. So I told him, "Don't touch me again. I'm going to pepper you." That's what I said to him. Don't touch me again. And I'm letting this guy know, because I knew right away he was a troll. You're not going to assault me, especially in front of the select.
This is some old townie or something like that, or a young
I'm
guy?
not really sure who he was. He was fully masked, and he was cozing up his hoodie to make sure I couldn't see him. Actually, his hat said, "I'm here to make friends." That's what his hat said.
Wow.
Well, I don't want to give him any more attention, but
yeah.
But I asked politely to the selectmen, can we have my rights respected right now? Like, and I didn't mean to disrupt the meeting or anything like that. But the selectman is like, all right, I don't want any more disruptions. Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't me.
Right.
I just had to speak out about it because the guy was violating my rights. Like, I want to be able to film this thing. And I was doing it very respectfully. Some people didn't think so because I didn't stand for the pledge, and they're making a big stink about that. But I'm pretty well known for that too. I mean,
that's what all people who love freedom should do, is not stand for the pledge, because as you I think you pointed out, it's socialist indoctrination.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point you bring up, because people were like, "Oh, you believe in your First Amendment right, but you don't want to stand for the pledge." I'm like, that's also First Amendment
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I was like, well, are you a National Socialist? You stood for the pledge, and Francis Bellamy, back in 1889, wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. He was a National Socialist.
Are you talking to the troll guy, or is this somebody else giving you a hard time?
There was somebody else there that was giving me a hard time. And actually, there's an update about that guy today.
We're going to continue with this. Also, if you want to weigh in, maybe you were at the meeting and you saw this, you want to comment, you're welcome to join us here, 603-283-6160. How much of this is live stream? Because you're almost always live stream.
All of it.
Okay. So Breaking the Flaw is your channel. It's available on YouTube and Odyssey, more importantly. We'll talk about Odyssey coming up as well, the much better platform. There's more on the way, and you can share your thoughts as well here on Free Talk Live.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp, is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. And, of course, you can bring up anything you want here. The number is 603-283-6160. We're digging into some small-town corruption. And, yeah, I mean, big cities are certainly known for corrupt cops and corrupt politicians, but they are maybe as bad, if not worse, sometimes than a lot of the small towns out there. You've got the good old boys that are firmly in charge of these places, and they don't like it when a guy with a camera, and especially his friends, show up to, you know, I don't know, just record the supposed legal processes that these guys are supposed to go through when you do something like file a records request. It gets them all aflutter and angry, and in this case, threatening. We haven't even gotten to that part yet.
No.
Well, I guess there was the part where Press NH Now was attacked by a town selectman openly on video, and I haven't watched this yet, but I pulled up your channel over on Odyssey and YouTube, and it's just... I've got a lot to do during the break, so I haven't had a chance to actually pull up the video.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
But yeah, you've been through a lot in the last few days, and that's what you're telling us about here. It's Ian, Matt, and Joa from Breaking the Flaw. That's your YouTube channel, Joa.
Thank you.
And also on Odyssey. But you said there's been some technical issues with Odyssey, so some of these videos may not have made it over there yet.
They take a little more time to transfer over, I guess.
Yeah, so those will be coming over there. We're talking about the just rampant corruption that you were experiencing. Yesterday was not the first day, but the follow-up day after Press NH Now is already arrested at the police station because some of his followers called the police department. They're blaming him for that, even though he specifically said, do not call the police station. They're saying that's obstruction of government administration. I suspect they're going to lose that case, but that doesn't mean that they don't get away with arresting him and, you know, holding him for however long and processing him, and maybe he'll see some justice for that later on.
Yeah, cops don't get in trouble for false arrest.
Very rarely.
They can false arrest away.
They certainly will not get in personal trouble for it. They have qualified immunity. It's very, very hard to hold them.
Well, I don't know how, like, if he would ever try to get, like, a lawsuit involved. I don't know what he's going for, but Charlestown, I went to that selectman meeting, and they don't have any money. And that's the truth. They're struggling. And I think this is, like, they're desperate, and this is probably why the town's acting out in some ways.
Well, I suspect they would have done the same exact thing any old time. Good times are bad because people with power behave in a certain way. And somebody who knows a thing or two about it is Footloose, who is also on the line with us here. And you mentioned, Joe, that he was with you last night.
That's right.
At this town selectman meeting. Footloose, what happened from your perspective last night?
It was crazy. So I went down and attended the meeting. I was quiet. I took a seat. And I was recording, and my live stream dropped on the first one, and then I went outside because people were asking what we were there for. So I went outside. I didn't want to disrupt the meeting, and I explained to everybody what we were doing there. And then that troll showed up. So I went down and followed the troll, and I seen him try to put his chair and sit right in front of Flaw's stream, and whatever, we just paid it no mind for the most part. You know what I mean?
Typical childish opposition tactic. Oh, well, I'm just going to stand in front of the guy with a video camera.
I generally kept my poise on
guy,
that too, and I didn't let him get to me. Okay.
Yeah, he's like sticking his camera or his phone right in Flaw's face, taking picture after picture after picture for like an hour, right? So whatever, the meeting ended, and obviously I went out there, and the reporter came out and was asking me if I was there for Mark, and where was Mark.
This is Press NH now.
Yeah, we'll say Press. How's that?
Yeah.
Press, sorry, yeah. And I mean, he's whatever. It is what it is.
I know.
So hold on. You said reporter. There was a mainstream media person there covering this meeting? Okay.
Yeah, I think his name was Jim Kenyon from Valley News.
Okay.
And so he was asking for press, and he wanted to interview him, and we had the walkie-talkie, so I hit him up. I said, hey, there's a reporter here. Bah, you can go check out my video. The Troll Shows Up video is the one that has all the best content on the 3 videos I did.
This is on your Absolute Defiance YouTube channel?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolute Defiance YouTube. And so I got that whole interview between the reporter and press live, so you could see exactly the exchange between them. Whatever. I went back in, meeting ended, and we're still in the meeting room, and it was over, and then the townspeople started, like, yelling at me and Flaw for not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I wasn't even there for it. They're like,
a
"You didn't
National
stand for the Pledge of
Socialist
Allegiance."
poem.
I'm like, I wasn't even there.
Normally you do those sorts of things. Like it's one of the few critiques I have of you. It's like, oh man, you got to stop standing up for this stuff. But normally that's something that you actually would do.
Yeah, I stood up by not.
We got accosted for singing the Pledge of Allegiance too enthusiastically by Sununu at the executive council meeting.
That's true.
That was disrupting the meeting.
That's right. I saw the video of that.
So yeah, and then now these townies, it was starting to get a little.
Is this
loud
outside at
down
this
there.
point where the townies confront you? You're outside of the meeting?
No, we were inside and
still.
then we said, let's go outside. Let's take this outside. Yeah, let's take this outside. Like, let's take this outside.
How many people
like,
are we talking about here are involved in
there
this?
was 10 or 15 people inside. Easy.
So you guys are outnumbered then. It was just the three of you?
And there was people outside too.
Okay.
There was a bunch of people outside once we got out too, because they were aware that we were in town live streaming
but like
from the 3 different channels. You know what I mean?
When
So
we were
then all
outside
these
though,
other-
we're going back and forth, right? And like they know that we they know that we know what we're talking about, because we're bringing up all these different things about our rights and stuff, and they're just like, their jaws are dropping and they're not realizing, oh yeah, we kind of messed with the wrong people. And we started getting some of the townies on our side at this point.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yes, some of the townies actually ended up shaking our hands and thanking us, and so there was, I would say, it was 50-50 as far as the support and then the haters go.
Okay, good.
And there was, all these townies that are like mad at us because we're exercising our rights and we're trying to hold the government accountable or whatever.
How dare you?
And they're acting like bootlickers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chief's son shows up and he calls first press and then the rest of us out back behind the building. Turn your camera off and let's go fight behind the building.
Yeah, he was threatening us.
We're live streaming, guy. We're live streaming. Even if we wanted to retract the video to not get you in trouble, you already put it out.
How old is
there.
this guy? The son of the police chief?
Probably about my age, so about in his 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's just a loser.
This guy.
A privileged little brat.
Yeah. This guy shows up like. What was his reason for even being there? It wasn't like you were a threat to his daddy or something like that. I mean, you're just there holding people accountable and recording video of the town. He feels like he's got to do his daddy's dirty work.
I think he showed up just to get like some of his own words out on us. Like he just wanted to tell us some things and like basically you deserved it kind of stuff and whatever. But
Footloose, stand by, man. We're gonna if you got time, stand by. We'll continue because I know there's we definitely can talk about your trial today. Both Joa and I attended that, and there is video of that will be coming out eventually. once, I want to wait till the result comes in. I like to wait till the judge issues the ruling. She did not issue that today. We'll tell you about that coming up here as well. And then the rest of the story from Charlestown, plus an update today. You went back today, Joe. We got to get to that too.
Oh, yeah.
There's more coming up. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live's video archives have been on LBRY for years. LBRY is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, LBRY launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off, now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. video.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. Private sector companies employing more than 100 people in the U.S. have until January the 4th to make sure their employees are either fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or being tested for the virus weekly. The Biden administration has also unveiled new emergency requirements for certain healthcare workers. FSN's U.S. correspondent Tony Waterman has more.
Companies that fail to comply face fines of more than $130,000. The Biden administration also said it's tightening regulations on healthcare workers who are employed at facilities that receive Medicare or Medicaid funding. They will need to be fully vaccinated by January 4th with no option for weekly testing. Republican Governor Greg Abbott has already banned vaccine mandates in the state of Texas in defiance of the Biden administration.
On Capitol Hill, there is still no sign of votes taking place on President Biden's two key pieces of domestic legislation. Democrats continue to try and find ways of forging unity over the president's infrastructure bill and his broader public spending measure. The Duchess of Sussex has meanwhile placed phone calls to several senators urging them to pass legislation that would provide paid family and medical leave for new parents in America. Meghan Markle's phone calls come after friends of the Duchess indicated that she may seek public office in the future. In Britain, a lawmaker at the centre of a lobbying scandal has resigned from Parliament. Owen Paterson quit after Prime Minister Boris Johnson did a U-turn over efforts to salvage the MP's position. From FSN's London bureau, Ollie Barrett with more.
Owen Paterson not by any means admitting guilt after the process that he says he has found unfair that led to the recommended suspension of him from the House of Commons. He says he's resigning because of the treatment that he's received and his family has received in recent days and the atmosphere around the story, which clearly led to that very rapid U-turn from the government.
An analyst who was a key source for a 2016 dossier of lurid allegations against Donald Trump has been arrested on charges of lying to the FBI. Igor Danchenko was charged with 5 counts of making false statements. From FSN's Washington bureau, Kate Fisher reports.
Igor Danchenko provided information for a dossier compiled by former British spy Christopher Steele. It contained salacious claims about former President Trump, as well as allegations that people within his orbit were conspiring with Russia to win the 2016 US presidential election. According to Thursday's indictment, Mr. Danchenko lied to the FBI about his sources. Prosecutors say that matters because the FBI relied in part on the dossier to get surveillance on former Trump aide Carter Page, and because the FBI devoted resources to try to corroborate the information.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. The phones here are open if you want to join us. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Coming up, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We're going to get into that. Matt's been, of course, paying close attention to that.
Thanks for being patient.
He's our resident gun guy here on Free Talk Live, so we'll talk about that. But a little closer to home is rampant corruption in small town New Hampshire. Now, this kind of stuff will happen in any small town near you, a lot of them at least. It's just that you probably don't have First Amendment auditors living nearby, although there are some across the country. These are guys that go into town government buildings, police headquarters, into the public areas,
That's
the
right.
ostensibly public areas, and simply record.
Completely lawful.
Yep.
Yep.
And you know that you're engaging in a lawful manner, and
Absolutely.
that doesn't stop them from being completely unlawful in how they respond to you. So that's what we're kind of summarizing here is your experience over roughly the last several days.
Yeah.
Joe.
Last week for Press NH Now.
Yeah, that's your not partner, but cohort, if you will.
Yeah,
and,
we're individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are both people who have your own channels on YouTube. And you are also on Odyssey, which, by the way, Odyssey, a great way to watch Free Talk Live. If you go to video.freetalklive.com, you'll go to our Odyssey channel. You can follow us there. And that's a great place to do it because it's a more free platform than YouTube, way more, because it's actually founded by the people who created Library, which is a decentralized, censorship-free protocol. So it's a media sharing protocol. You cannot be censored on Library. If you want to learn more about Library, go to lbry.com. And again, follow our channel on Odyssey at video.freetalklive.com. We're on the line here with Footloose. And I was talking with you, Joe, there during the break. You say that Footloose's video is probably the clearest one as far as...
Well, Press NH Now got the threat.
Oh, okay. He got that too?
The chief's son got right into his face.
Oh,
and said
right
these
up in his
things.
face. Okay,
Yeah.
so check the Press NH Now channel on
Absolutely,
YouTube
yeah.
for the threat from the son of the police chief of Charlestown, New Hampshire, who just rolled up after a meeting, apparently a city or town council meeting. This guy rolls up and gets out and threatens. Was it just press, or was it kind of like an open threat of you, Joa?
To
and
basically anyone that was doing what we were doing. So yeah, it was all three of us at this point, I guess.
And he said, "Come on out back, turn your cameras off, and I'll, whip your butt," kind of thing.
Right.
With
yeah.
probably more profanity, I'm guessing.
Right, but see, I didn't discover this, so we were like, all right, let's get out of here. This is getting crazy. We don't want to deal with the locals because it can get pretty bad. And so we're like, all right, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna like take our separate ways, and we're gonna leave now. And I had left, so I left. I was already 20 minutes down the road, and then
oh wow,
and then so Footloose and Press NH Now call me. And Footloose, what happened? Because you're the one that saw it first. I didn't know about it first, but Footloose knew.
So we were being basically stalked by at least 3 different vehicles and the groups of people as well. So
this is in the parking lot at the town hall.
This was right outside the town hall or the library, whatever, where the meeting took place. And so we didn't want them to see us going to his car. So we had this other guy who was a supporter of Press's, and we went for a ride up the street, and we were still being followed. We lost the person and turned around, and then we head back to the vehicle. We jump out, we get in the vehicle, we start it up, and we try to take off pretty quickly. And he goes, "Oh, they fucking slashed."
Oh, we can't say that on the radio, man. I had to hit the dump button, but please don't.
Sorry.
Most people, I'm gonna, they have to go, but I'll give you a pass on that one. So you're back on. Go ahead.
It's Footloose nature. Got to be honest.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, sorry about that. So
he's just being really, really honest.
That's what happened. I get it.
When you swear, you mean it more.
Yeah, I mean it more when I say it. So whatever, he's like, "Oh man, the tires are slashed." So we pull over, and literally these people were circling like sharks in at least 3 to 4 vehicles, and people on foot as well, coming up and running their mouths, telling us, "Get out of our town," and all this stuff. It's like, how are we supposed to get out of town with flat tires?
Oh my God.
So, long story short, we end up getting the car towed. We called Flaw. He came back, and we're still dealing with all these, these townies creeping on us. And
One thing that was crazy about, I don't suggest anyone really calling the police, but when they have a monopoly like this, and plus, they put us in a vulnerable position, and we tried calling the state police, right? And the state police would not respond. They call the local town. Can't call the local town because Press NH now has a conflict of interest with charges,
right?
Especially when the chief arrests you, right? So we're like, well, what are you going to do? We need the sheriff. And actually, the state police wouldn't show up anyways because they were all on rest. From the memorial that they had for a trooper that had died. So they all went to a ceremony and they all went on rest. This seems like very if you believe in the state and police, this is a very vulnerable time in the state if everyone's on rest. This is that's just crazy. It blew my mind.
On rest? You mean they're just taking time off?
They took the rest of the day off, basically.
Oh.
They were probably hungover.
Yeah. But so they ended up getting the sheriffs, and I was like, yes, sheriffs. These are the real people we want. And you know what? I'm not calling anybody else. If I got to call some sort of authority, it's going to be the sheriffs. They did an excellent job, and they know us. They want to deal with it. They want to deal with it. Whereas state troopers or locals, they're kind of yup, roll their eyes, and they don't.
I wonder why.
Go through the motions. It's just I don't know.
Weird.
It's just I don't know, but something about sheriffs, we got a case finally.
So you called the sheriffs in regarding the slash tires?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they did a great job. I got to be honest. They did everything thoroughly.
Yeah,
and
they
very
were
polite.
awesome.
All right, take us to today. If you covered most of what happened last night at this point?
Yeah, that's everything pretty much. Yeah,
so you guys got out
safely.
Of it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What now? You went back to. Go ahead, Footloose.
No, it's a far drive. Okay,
yeah.
So we were. I didn't get home till 11 o'clock, and then I had my trial today.
Yeah, at 8:15 in the morning.
I got maybe 2 hours sleep, if that.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I guess we should. I guess we should talk briefly about the trial and then let Footloose go, and then we can talk more.
That
about
sounds good. Let's do that.
Charlestown.
Because everything happened was me today.
So take us to this morning. Footloose, you're on trial. I showed up. Bonnie came with me, and there was a few folks as well. Joey, you came there, and then people started trickling in because 8:15 is pretty early in the morning for a lot of people. But they started the trial at 8:25, and this was for your arrest. And also 2 so-called picketing charges that are a town ordinance that was pretty clearly it's an unconstitutional town ordinance, but it's still on the books because it hasn't been overturned yet. But that's what this trial was about. It was 3 different charges from 2 different incidents, one of which was at the end of December of last year, and the other one was the end of January. These were times where there were many protests going on outside of the governor's house and the little cul-de-sac there. There's a park where people have been gathering for weeks. I've attended a number of these things. I wasn't at the one where 9 people got ticketed, as they're called the Newfields 9. 9 people were ticketed, 1 person arrested for basically just being there for so-called picketing. You guys wanted to have a candlelight vigil, and the police responded with literally dozens of armed men to stop you from doing that and demanded that you walk around instead of stand and hold candles. They demanded that you walk around the streets. And that's what this trial was about this morning. It was very entertaining. There will be footage coming out of this trial. And one of my favorite moments had to be when the prosecutor was badgering you about where you live. And you said, he asked you, where do you live? And you said, I live in this body right here, right now. I think it was what you said.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yep.
I know that there's probably some.
Right here, right now.
I'm sure there's some things you want to highlight about this, so stand by. We'll continue here with Footloose. He's from Absolute Defiance, great group of activists here in New Hampshire, showing up and giving it to the governor. He's a tyrant and calling him out. And it turns out his neighbors didn't like it. They even called his neighbor onto the stand, the governor, the Tyrant King's neighbor. Tyrant King himself didn't show up, but he had his neighbor show up. More coming up. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, and the number here is 603-283-6160. You can bring up anything that you want. We're talking about some of the small-town corruption in Charlestown, New Hampshire. The videos over at Press NH Now on YouTube. Check out Breaking the Flaw and Absolute Defiance if you want to see the threats and the insanity that has gone on over the last few days. We're still not done telling the story. We're going to get deeper into what happened today with the latest.
I just want to say one more thing before I talk about today's events.
Yeah.
I've gotten more positive feedback from the town town people.
Oh, okay.
Then negative.
Okay, good.
So I had a lot of people coming up to us and thanking us, and they were the most polite people too.
There's always a lot of
yeah.
victims of these people in these towns. There's these quiet victims that get false charges brought against them, tax liens, all kinds of different corruption, targeted for zoning violations unnecessarily. There's always these things that the people in charge they use against people who speak up or are somehow not going with the flow.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the public officials that are actually acting out, and people associated with the public officials, and
like their family members.
Those are the people that are getting butt hurt, not the other people in town, the ones that not
the average person.
That's right.
That makes sense. We're going to continue. We got Footloose on the line, but also I do want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. That is where you can go to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. These are technologies that are likely not going away in our lifetime, so you probably should learn about them, because we're likely still in the very beginning of the value of these things. We don't know. We can't say for sure what the prices of them are going to do, but historically, the price has gone up over time. So it might be something that's worth your time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes of your time to go look into. Go to Bitcoin.com, click Get Started at the top of the page, and that's where you'll find some useful information, including some videos that you can watch. The first one is like 3 minutes long, so you don't have to invest a lot of time to get the basics down over at Bitcoin.com. Plus, if you're not new to crypto, you can get the latest news headlines over at news.bitcoin.com. We bring Footloose back on the line. He was in, we're going to get back into Charlestown here in a moment, but Footloose, you were at the Brentwood, I think it was, District Court this morning. You are one of the Newfields 9, the one who, you weren't arrested the night that the 9 people were ticketed. There was one arrest. That was a different guy, Skyler, and I'm sure we'll have him on again to talk about that as his trial comes close. But you were there this morning. You were representing yourself in court. You fired your attorney because you got more leeway because you're not an attorney to ask questions in court. And actually, your attorney said to you outside, your previous attorney had said to you, I would have gotten arrested if I tried to ask the questions that you were able to ask this morning in court. Right. So go ahead and recap, what do you want to share about your experience today?
So, I represented myself. That wasn't my intention. I was, planning to go with the counsel, and, I'm a bit of absolute defiance. I chose that for a reason. I try to embody that. It's just part of my personality. And, there was some words exchanged, and, I didn't appreciate that, so I fired the lawyer, and it all worked out for the best because, like he said and like you heard, I was able to ask questions and expose things that he never would have had a chance. I mean, I was up there for, 2.5, 3 hours?
Yeah, it was a while.
That, yeah.
I'd say at least 2 hours.
Yeah. And,
it went by so fast, though. So exciting.
I thought it was fun, yeah. I mean, I was working on less than 2 hours sleep, but I had already had all my questions lined up and all that.
Good boy.
And, I really dragged out the guy who arrested me for the disorderly conduct and tried to because he was lying. Yeah. He was lying on the stand. So he said, I gave him the citation for disorderly conduct, and then he went over, and then I gave him the ticket, and it was not how it happened at all.
No, and he had to keep referring to his notes, which I sent you a message. Unfortunately, you weren't checking. A lot of people don't look at their phones during the trial. But as my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I've seen in court, whenever a cop says I need to refer to my notes, if any time a defendant ever objects, then I've always seen the judges always say, no, you can't refer to your notes. You can object. Now I don't know if there's like a name for that objection. It's like, hey, you just have to say objection. He's not allowed to use his notes. They're supposed to go from recollection.
Being guided is what they call it, right?
They're supposed to go from recollection. So anyway, he had to keep looking at his notes because he couldn't remember a damn thing straight.
No, he couldn't remember anything. He couldn't remember anything that was actual or factual in any respect.
But basically, the case against you for so-called disorderly conduct boiled down to they said that you talk too loud. I mean, that was all he had. He was like, well, I told him to not talk so loud. And that was all they had, right?
Yep. You were talking too loud. And before he arrested me for that, I was yelling and screaming and ranting and raving while I was waiting for the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
There's another video. If you go look for the Tyranny at its Finest playlist, and you'll see in there where they came and they said, we're going to give you guys tickets. I said, okay, let's get these tickets. And then in between there, I was calling them domestic terrorists. You're the real domestic terrorists. And I was literally at the top of my lungs. You guys know how I can get.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't arrest me. They didn't say anything about that. And then we're still waiting for these tickets. And so I walk over to him with somebody else. I say, hey, what's going on with these tickets? And he said, oh, here you go. Here's your ticket. I said, just me? There's like 15 other people here that want tickets. Nope, just you. And then he's like, if you don't stop, I'm going to have you arrested. If I don't stop, what? If you don't stop, I'm going to have you arrested. And then he said, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct.
Yeah, and you actually asked also about the picketing charge, what he considers to be picketing, and he said carrying a sign, protesting about an issue, and chanting. So all these things are free speech, clearly protected by, the First Amendment or whatever local amendments your local constitution might have. This is a weak-ass ordinance, and hopefully, if the judge is any good whatsoever, she will see that and overturn this, but I have no expectation that she will. I suspect she's there to back up the tyrant king.
Sure.
Yeah, she'll probably kick the can down the road and, put some half-cocked theory together to justify why she's finding us guilty, and then we'll have to appeal it and go down that road, which just delays the inevitable.
Yeah.
And we have a strong case for malicious prosecution as well. Like that prosecutor, he even said it's not about picketing, it's about targeting a specific residence, which is not what the ordinance is.
Nor is there any real evidence that you did that. I mean, the best thing that they could say was that the event was advertised to be at the address at which the governor lives. But everybody who attended the event said we were going to the cul-de-sac. We made an effort to stay away from his house because the other thing about this case was that you guys, when you got there, you were going to have a candlelight vigil. And that is by definition, a quiet event. But the cops literally stopped you from doing that and told you that if you didn't keep moving, you would be arrested. So the police, under threat, converted what was going to be a quiet candlelight vigil into a march. And then when you guys marched in the way the police specified, because you didn't want to get arrested and ticketed ultimately, I don't think, otherwise you wouldn't have done what they were saying. You marched away from his house, came back around the cul-de-sac, around the side of the cul-de-sac that was furthest from his house, stopped, spoke to one of the dozen-plus, if not 20-plus state troopers on hand, and specifically asked one of them if you could go up the side footpath to, like, it goes up the side of his house. It's away from his house, but it goes up that direction to a general store and then come back. And the cop tells you, yes, you can do this. So you guys do it. And then on the path, they say, all right, everybody stop. You're getting tickets. So you guys literally did everything they told you to.
It was entrapment, 100% entrapment. And that was one of the affirmative defenses that I raised. They even said we got Trooper Dodds to admit that the ordinance was created to protect the governor's residence, not to protect the town. He said to protect the governor's residence.
Governor's resident, or do you mean pseudo state house?
Yeah, that's another good point.
House at the time, to protect his pseudo state house because at
the
that
whole
time
pandemic he did it from home.
Right. The state house was closed, which is where his office is.
Closed. He was conducting official state business, Zoom meetings, and having other meetings at his house. So, it was the de facto state house at the time.
Yeah, and they also, as I mentioned earlier, they had his neighbor as the first witness in this particular case. And that was particularly interesting to me because, she was the one who allegedly called the cops to complain about the protesters. Footloose, do you want to stand for another segment or do you want to go? It's up to you.
Sure, I can hang up
All right,
another
well,
one.
let's talk about this lady that took the stand, the first person before the cop got called, and she claimed she couldn't get out of her driveway, which we'll talk about it.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
When Monster Hunter International discovers one of Isaac Newton's wardstones being auctioned off, they decide to steal it and use it to destroy the Chaos God once and for all. But a mysterious thief upends their plan, and it soon becomes a race against time as something much older and infinitely more evil awakens in the jungles of South America. Monster Hunter Bloodlines by New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia and Baen Books. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. The U.S. Justice Department has sued the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. The voting restrictions limit the ability of Texans to cast their ballots by mail, among other things. The lawsuit is the second attempt by the Biden administration to legally challenge new voting restrictions in Republican-controlled states. A U.S. court has selected an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting an African-American man. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in the state of Georgia when he was pursued and fatally shot. FSN's U.S. correspondent Nick Harper reports.
More than a quarter of the population of Glynn County, where the trial is taking place, is black, but only 1 black juror has been seated, along with 11 white jurors. Prosecutors argue race was a motivating factor in the killing of Mr. Arbery. The 3 men charged with his murder, one of whom filmed the incident, have denied the charges. They told police they believe Mr. Arbery was a suspect in a series of alleged break-ins and were attempting to make a citizen's arrest. The trial gets underway on Friday.
The European Parliament has sent its first official delegation to Taiwan as part of efforts to foster closer ties with the island. The move has prompted anger from Beijing, which has urged the EU to correct its mistakes. FSN's Lucy Hoff has more from Brussels.
The 3-day visit of members of the European Parliament includes exchanges with Taiwanese officials on threats such as disinformation and cyber attacks. The French MEP Raphael Glucksmann, leading the delegation, said that this was about showing support for Taiwan in defense of rule of law and human dignity. The MEPs are also interested in Taiwan's economic capabilities, given that it produces an estimated 90% of the world's semiconductors. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said in a statement on Thursday that Europe should correct its mistakes with the visit. The Foreign Ministry said that the fact that Taiwan is part of China cannot be changed.
Stronger than expected labor market data helped propel the U.S. markets to another day of gains, and investors remain in a buoyant mood following the Federal Reserve's decision to taper its bond buying program. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced it was curtailing its $120 billion a month asset buying program. The news was expected, but investors are encouraged by the Fed's indication that it remains prepared to stay patient when it comes to a decision on raising interest rates. The Dow Jones fell 0.1% Thursday, but the S&P rose 0.4% to extend a hot streak into a sixth day and move further into record territory. The Nasdaq also closed the day up 0.8%.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Looking today at the COVID-19 situation in China. The country is facing its worst outbreak since the pandemic began in Wuhan around 2 years ago. The Delta variant has now been identified in more than half the country's provinces, and that's despite a zero-tolerance approach to COVID, which has essentially cut the country off from the outside world. Even tighter curbs are being introduced in Beijing, which is due to serve as the scene for a meeting of the highest-ranking Chinese Communist Party officials. It's due to take place next week. FSN's Patrick Fock is our Beijing bureau chief.
It has picked up really quite quickly over the last couple of weeks, and it's also spread to 19 of China's 31 provinces. And of course, as you can imagine, with the Beijing Olympics around the corner, authorities are particularly concerned about that and doing everything they can to try and stamp out this latest outbreak. And, you know, you can certainly feel it here in the capital with security guards making sure that they're taking down your temperature and also making sure that you've got your QR health code and making sure people are wearing face masks as well. That's been noticeably more serious in recent days.
It's unclear how China thinks it can reopen to the outside world while the country's fears of a mass COVID outbreak remain. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. The U.S. Justice Department sues the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. A U.S. court selects an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting black man Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. And the European Parliament sends its first official delegation to Taiwan, prompting anger from Beijing. That is the latest feature story news. Ira Spitzer reports.
Buying a burger might start taking a bite out of your wallet. Meat prices skyrocketed this week after the place that makes the meat revealed that the cow smashing machine is all beefed up.
This machine has beef way up in it. The basher, the meat collector, even the main meat hole, all of it. Lousy with beef.
The cow smashing machine is an integral part of the meat making process, taking whole big cows into one end with all different meats falling out the other. Supermarket chains warn that unless we start smashing cows again soon, we could face a serious beef shortage. The beef industry is working hard to unclog the cow smasher, but says it could take several days or even weeks to scoop all the beef that's crammed up in there. Until it's fixed, meat-hungry Americans can take solace in the fact that the chicken grinder is working at full capacity, just completely tearing up all those chickens, and the pig machine is porking out hardcore. Up next, bluesmen find a rising trend of their babies done leaving on that their old devil train.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. The number is 603-283-6160. We are kicking off the second hour of the program here. Coming up, Kyle Rittenhouse is on trial, and Matt's been following it pretty closely. We'll talk about what developments have been happening there because we haven't covered it at all so far here on Free Talk Live. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Matt, and Joa.
But first, we're starting things out a little closer to home, where the small-town corruption is, it's at its maximum. I mean, they really hate freedom lovers. They really hate activists with video cameras, and they sure don't like it when you get a group of peaceful people in front of the King Tyrant Governor's house in Newfields, New Hampshire, at 71 Hemlock Court. They certainly don't like it when peaceful people are gathering together with signs and singing COVID carols, which, by the way, got mentioned and played in court this morning.
Oh my God, I was cracking up.
Yeah, I had to tag Captain Kickass on that one, who's the guy who actually wrote the COVID carols, and I let him know, hey man, your songs are getting played in court this morning, and he really enjoyed that. And so Footloose is on the line here. You were, I would say, the primary person that was in court today because you defended yourself. There were 3 others of the Newfields 9, the people who were ticketed for attempting to have and failing to have a candlelight vigil out in front of the governor's house. But the day started with a trial about your quote-unquote disorderly conduct arrest for speaking too loudly for the sensitive ears of a wiry little police officer who could barely remember anything that happened on the day in question, which was the very end of January earlier this year. Now, the trial started with a woman who was the neighbor, or is the neighbor, living at 72 Hemlock Court in Newfields, New Hampshire, of Chris Sununu, the Tyrant King governor. And I was surprised that they actually, dragged this lady out to put her on stand, because I guess they had to put somebody to be the complaining party, and old Sununu didn't want to be called into court, right? He doesn't want to take the stand. Right. So they had his neighbor do it. And so this woman gets up on there and actually claims that I was taking notes on my social media, by the way, over at social.freetalklive.com. So I was tooting out, sending out updates throughout the trial, which is helpful, to go back and look at here. This lady actually said that I'm pulling up the actual or the quote here. She says the protest was, quote, out of control, that she was worried about people with weapons, even though she admitted that these things have been going on for weeks, like since roughly, I think, Thanksgiving time, right? Months,
yeah.
Yeah, not a single person had been, violated except for the protesters by the police.
Well, I mean, I want to say, if she's worried about weapons, she should probably leave New Hampshire. There's a lot of guns.
What about if she was so afraid, what good are all those state troopers outside? There's like 20 state troopers outside.
Right.
Like, what is she afraid of? You don't think they're going to stop us if we're out of control and crazy? They admitted that the state troopers had authority to enforce the town ordinance. Why didn't they?
Yeah, and by the way, she also claimed that she couldn't get out of her driveway. Now, if that was true, and it's not, but if that were true, it was because there were a ton of state troopers with a bunch of cruisers parked everywhere, parked all up and around, the Sununu's house.
Hogging all the protesters' parking spots.
And Circle and such. But there's video from this day of us singing songs. There are photographs here of the protesters that were out front of Sununu's house. Do you see a bunch of people? I'm showing the gentleman in the studio a photograph of the people standing in the cul-de-sac. Do you see anybody that looks like they might be blocking someone's driveway in this photograph?
Not at all.
Because I can tell you the people didn't leave the cul-de-sac. They weren't like standing in somebody's driveway. They weren't blocking anybody. Nobody parked in front of somebody's driveway. So this woman she's up there just lying, just straight up lying, saying that she was somehow felt like she was in danger.
Everybody's standing on the grass, in the middle of the cul-de-sac.
She said that it was louder and crazier than normal. And what did I say? I said, well, was there any amplified sound?
Nope.
Was there amplified sound before? There wasn't this time, but there was before. We were out there with PAs and bullhorns.
I brought a 300-watt speaker out there one day.
Somehow we were louder this time singing COVID carols, which they also said, what? I ordered people to sing COVID carols. And I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you weren't even standing there when we started singing the COVID carols. I brought the COVID carol song sheets and passed them out and led the choir, the Shire choir, in doing that. But it's interesting that they acted like the one day that we actually sang COVID carols, which are wonderful little protest songs. You can search for that on freekeen.com, and they'll come up and grab the song sheet and do them in your area if you want to. But the one day that song is what we brought. There was no chants. I mean, there might have been a brief one, I think, at some point, but like there was no like protracted chanting. There was no shouting at through megaphones or anything like that. But it's the songs that seem to really upset them the most, and I just thought that was interesting. Yeah. This woman is just a straight up liar. There's nobody blocking her in this driveway, and so that's how the trial started. And then they bring this skinny cop up on the stand, who's this old guy, can't remember anything, and Bonnie pointed out that he was just doing some of the weirdest stuff with his arms throughout his testimony. Like kept kind of spreading out, like he'd spread his arms all the way out across the I don't know.
He was trying to fly away.
Yeah, you get really, really relaxed in a hot tub.
Yeah,
I was
he
like,
looks
this
like
guy's
that.
like in a hot tub right now.
It was wild, man.
He was uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was. You had him on the ropes. I mean, this guy, I don't think he realized that he was going to be cross-examined like this.
Actually,
I had the video to impeach him. He lied and lied. I said, "Are you sure?" I have the video. Yep.
But he'll never get charged.
When the video comes out,
he'll never get charged with lying under oath. That'll never happen.
Right.
So. Anything else you want to share from this morning? I know there was a lot, but we've kept you on for an hour, so I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Great show, and look forward to hearing the rest of it.
Just for listeners, so you know, the judge did not make a decision today. It was taken under advisement, as was there were two Free Staters who were charged as well as the Newfields 9. Again, 9 people were ticketed for so-called picketing, and they're still going through the trials, and there's memorandums of law that are being filed by the attorneys. I think, Footloose, you plan to file one of your own as well. Yeah. So there's some paperwork that's going to be going for the next couple months, so we may not actually get a verdict on any of these until like Christmas time, basically. So we will let you know when that verdict comes in. And do me a favor and send me a copy of that motion or the memo when you file it, Footloose. I'm interested in sharing that too.
For sure.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate your time, and thanks for your service out there.
Love you, man.
Have a good night, guys.
It's Footloose from Absolute Defiance. Check him out on. He's on YouTube. I think he's got a Facebook page as well.
Kind of a rock star.
The dude is ballsy.
Totally.
And, I have a real appreciation for that.
Sure.
So, does amazing stuff. The whole idea that picketing it could be illegal. Hopefully they're going to throw these cases out because of that. Mm-hmm. But again, as I said to Footloose earlier, it's like these district court judges almost never do the right thing. They almost always rule in favor of the state, even if they get overturned later, because it's really no skin off their back.
Right. There's nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. There's no punishment for being wrong for them.
It seemed like the judge today wanted to laugh a few times. Like she was really kind of enjoying what was happening, and I think Footloose's energy today really might have just swayed her mentally. I feel like there was something to it.
Well, I appreciate your optimism. There was the one line, I don't think we gave the whole story about there was a part where the judge rebuked Footloose for profanity. He said the word hell.
Yeah.
And she rebuked him for that. He apologized in the moment. He's like, I got a head injury. He kept saying that.
Yeah. That's great.
And then the prosecutor's badgering him, and he says, well, where do you live? And he says, I live in this body right here, right now. He says, well, where do you sleep at night? In this body right here, right now. What's your mailing address? And he says, F around and find out. And the judge didn't say anything. It was hilarious. All right, so 603-283-6160. We continue with the small-town corruption. You go back to Charlestown, New Hampshire today. After Footloose's trial, you went back. We'll talk about it coming up here,
crazier.
Joe, and it gets crazier. More on the way. Free Talk Live.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Open phones if you want to join us here. Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. Our number, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We've been talking about some small-town corruption. We're going to get back into what happened in Charlestown, New Hampshire after tires were slashed last night of some of the First Amendment one of the First Amendment auditors. And that's touching, barely touching on all that happened. We covered it pretty deep earlier in the first hour of the show. Of course, you can grab the archive later on tonight over at freetalklive.com. If you missed it, with you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Matt,
and Joa.
But first, we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts, and then, Joe, you're going to tell us the rest of the story, because you went back to Charlestown today after being threatened by the chief of police's son openly on video, and also having, again, your friend's tires slashed last night, being stalked by these townies that, they love the cops, I guess. We'll talk about that. But first, Ted is calling from Concord, New Hampshire. Ted, you're on Free Talk Live. Welcome.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I don't know. I'm just calling. I was asking if any of you guys had any suggestions about moving to New Hampshire. I've been looking around for apartments and been having a lot of showings, but so far no luck. I'm ready to wanting to move in here for freedom, and I wanted to show my support for freedom.
Well, it sounds like you've done the biggest part, which is actually getting your physical self to New Hampshire. That's probably step one. So congratulations.
And a good step. Yeah, that's an important.
Where did you come from?
I came from New Jersey.
Oh, good move.
Welcome home.
Good move.
If that's the case, living in a tent behind the local grocery store is a much better option, even in the dead of winter when it's minus 50, than going back to New Jersey.
You can't live there anymore. They got all evicted out of Keene.
It's worth having the cops tear your tent down every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
100%.
It's horrible.
Guys, I had a question though. So the funny thing is like, I've seen, a lot of apartments out there, but I was curious if you guys knew of any apartments or of any place of living that accepts cryptocurrencies.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now,
Sure.
offhand, I don't know who they all are, but is what you got to do, and here's what I would suggest, is if you haven't yet, how long have you been here, by the way?
Just a couple days.
Okay, a couple days. So over the next week or two, go to as many social events as you can. And there's a little calendar that the Free State Project put together. I've got a quick link to it. It's calendar.shiresociety.com. That'll take you right to it. But if you look at that calendar, it'll show you events on the Seacoast, Manchester, Keene. Start showing up at these public events. Start meeting people and start asking these questions like, "Hey, I'm here. I need a place to stay. What's available?"
I know there is
That's
places.
that's how you're going to find them, though.
Yeah,
right?
that, and I would also say, caller, if you are, there's a Facebook group. Do you have Facebook?
I do not.
Okay, good for you. Forget about it then.
Yeah, Facebook sucks.
Facebook was not my style.
There is a Free State Project, an FSP housing search on. It's a group that's been on Facebook for a long time, and it actually has come in quite handy for a whole bunch of people. So it's pretty active. There's always people in there asking about how to, and the people in there would definitely respond to you within probably minutes about who accepts crypto.
I found my original place through that too. So
yeah, did you? It doesn't surprise me. It's pretty active.
Well, networking is going to work, I think.
Totally.
Actually physically meeting people in real life. There's I talked to Bill and Gail Domenico today. They were attending Footloose's trial. They host the Taproom Tuesdays event in Manchester. They say there's regularly at least 30, if not 40 or 50 people showing up on every single Tuesday night these days. It's super busy. And you just ask around.
The new movers parties.
That's once a month. That one just happened. Actually, it's the first Tuesday of the month.
That's right.
But again, there's events on the Seacoast. There's events in Keene. There's probably I don't know how many damn events every single week, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, that said, you've been around. You said so. What do you like best? Where do you want to live? Start there.
Well, ideally, I would like to live in Keene. That's where all the action's happening, right? I did check out a place in Bedford, which was rather really nice, and then there was another place in Milford Township. I think it was rather really big, spacious.
Beautiful time to be looking at anything in New Hampshire. The leaves have been sticking around longer this year. It's been warmer this fall than any that I can remember. It's amazing right now.
And what do you do for what do you need for a job? Like how close to your work do you need to be? Can you telework or can you do you have to actually go to a place to go to work?
The thing is, actually, I'm currently unemployed right now, but since cryptocurrencies took off, I do have the capital to afford the rent and at least pay off, the first year of a lease.
Well, the nice thing about New Hampshire, I'm sure this is true in a lot of places right now, is literally everywhere is hiring. So, if there's a certain type of work you want, odds are good you can just walk right in and they'll take you.
Even before the pandemic, this was one of the best places to find a job.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. But now it's literally you can't not find
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know what your criminal record looks like, and you don't have to tell me on the air, but SIG is constantly hiring machinists, and they pay well, and they have great benefits, and they'll hire anybody with a pulse as long as they have a clean criminal record. So, and you get some pretty cool deals on
those
guns.
starting rates too are pretty good. I think it was like $27 an hour for first shift,
Solid.
and $3 for second, another $3 more on top of that for third shift.
Yep.
And you can pick whatever time you want.
And they're
to
running
work.
24/7. They can't make enough. They can't manufacture enough. So they're constantly turning.
So those are some ideas. If you haven't yet, you can stop by the Shire Society forum at forum.shiresociety.com. It's nowhere near as busy as some other places, but there's still some people there that might be a place to ask as well. Like, hey, anybody got a room for rent or whatever?
Yeah, and even if you get that stuff figured out, you should still attend as many social events as you can get out to. Come meet us, man. Come hang out with us.
That's the point, I think.
Yeah, something else that you can do.
Where do I go meet you guys at?
We're always at these social events. I'm not allowed to leave my house, but I'm on bail conditions.
Okay.
But almost everybody here is frequently seen at various different Keene areas.
It's regular. In Keene, we just had a little monkey wrench thrown into our typical works because our waiter Chris at Fokine Great.
Yeah.
He tested positive for COVID-19, so Fucking Great had to close down for.
Really, I heard they already closed due to the chef being out. Is that...
maybe that played a part in it too.
So they closed again.
Maybe the chef and Chris at the same time.
So they're closed right now. Is what you're saying? Oh man,
yeah, they're closed right now. So Penguin posted that in our chat.
Well, there's always other places to meet. I think
there are, and you know what? If it was coming, if you wanted to get in touch with us and say, hey, I want to meet some people, a lot of us would take the day off from work to make sure we had time to go meet the new person in town. We want to make you feel welcome and come on out and hang out with us and and a lot of us just want to get a handle on the new person too. Is this a Fed?
Yeah.
We all know you're the Fed, Matt.
I'm the only Fed here.
So check out the calendar. The Free State Project, again, it lists a ton of things. And this is true for anybody that wants to come visit. Just go to calendar.shiresociety.com. It'll take you right to it. Go to the forum at forum.shiresociety.com. And good luck, man. Thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on the move to New Hampshire. It's a huge deal. And the other thing you can do is if you're a little more entrepreneurial, and you've got some money, like he said, he's got a little bit of capital. If you can get a place and make it available for rent, man, there's people just like you up here looking and looking and looking, and the housing market's slim right now, so it is a little harder than normally to find a place. So if you can create a place for people, to move into, like a multifamily home or something like that, I bet you it would fill up right quick.
Immediately.
603-283-6160. We're talking about the migration of freedom lovers to New Hampshire.
If you want to bring more liberty into your community, there's something you should see. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, break through. It's true. It's truly something new. If you'd like to see real prosperity, start your own currency, boost the economy. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, its impact's hard to overstate, results you can appreciate. If you're tired of relying on the state, want to make your own community great, homelessness and hunger to eliminate, let the wealth accumulate. Don't wait for the growth rate to accelerate. Go to intercoin.org and get the coins for yourself.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. The U.S. Justice Department has sued the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. The voting restrictions limit the ability of Texans to cast their ballots by mail, among other things. The lawsuit is the second attempt by the Biden administration to legally challenge new voting restrictions in Republican-controlled states. A U.S. court has selected an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting an African-American man. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in the state of Georgia when he was pursued and fatally shot. FSN's U.S. correspondent Nick Harper reports.
More than a quarter of the population of Glynn County, where the trial is taking place, is black, but only 1 black juror has been seated, along with 11 white jurors. Prosecutors argue race was a motivating factor in the killing of Mr. Arbery. The 3 men charged with his murder, one of whom filmed the incident, have denied the charges. They told police they believe Mr. Arbery was a suspect in a series of alleged break-ins and were attempting to make a citizen's arrest. The trial gets underway on Friday.
The European Parliament has sent its first official delegation to Taiwan as part of efforts to foster closer ties with the island. The move has prompted anger from Beijing, which has urged the EU to correct its mistakes. FSN's Lucy Hoff has more from Brussels.
The three-day visit of members of the European Parliament includes exchanges with Taiwanese officials on threats such as disinformation and cyber attacks. The French MEP Raphael Glucksmann, leading the delegation, said that this was about showing support for Taiwan in defence of rule of law and human dignity. The MEPs are also interested in Taiwan's economic capabilities, given that it produces an estimated 90% of the world's semiconductors. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said in a statement on Thursday that Europe should correct its mistakes with the visit. The Foreign Ministry said that the fact that Taiwan is part of China cannot be changed.
Stronger than expected labor market data helped propel the U.S. markets to another day of gains, and investors remain in a buoyant mood following the Federal Reserve's decision to taper its bond buying program. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced it was curtailing its $120 billion a month asset buying program. The news was expected, but investors are encouraged by the Fed's indication that it remains prepared to stay patient when it comes to a decision on raising interest rates. The Dow Jones fell 0.1% Thursday, but the S&P rose 0.4% to extend a hot streak into a sixth day and move further into record territory. The Nasdaq also closed the day up 0.8%.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Matt, and Joa.
You know, we've been telling you about how Intercoin can help any business or organization launch their own currency or raise money using their own token. And now Intercoin has launched its investor token worldwide, and for the first time, it's available on an exchange. If you want, you can create an account over at xmarkets.com. That's exmarkets.com. With just an email address, you can keep your privacy intact, and you can then deposit dozens of different cryptocurrencies to the exchange, including Bitcoin, trade them for Tether, and then you can buy ITR, which is the Intercoin Investor Token. You can learn more about their vision for Intercoin over at intercoin.org, and now buy or sell ITR on xmarkets.com. That's exmarkets.com. You just might be advancing the cause of liberty around the world. So we continue here. Of course, your calls and thoughts. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. We just had a guy call in from New Jersey, and it was funny. I follow the Free State Project on Twitter. It's the social media that I'm allowed to use besides social.freetalklive.com. They're always posting really interesting things about haters in New Hampshire and like all these leftists that are freaking out about the Free State Project. And every now and then somebody somebody will comment with like the standard line of, you know, what we really need is all the Free Staters to come to all the 50 states. We need you Free Staters to move to every state. And it's like, oh my God, do you not even know anything about this? The whole point of the Free State Project, the point of the freedom migration to New Hampshire, is that there aren't enough libertarians anywhere else.
Yeah, the Free Staters already are in all 50 states, and they're being completely ineffective. The only way they're truly going to be effective is they concentrate in one spot.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you guys are being so effective. I can acknowledge that. Why don't you come here where I live and help us too? No. People left. This guy was from New York, by the way.
Oh.
And so I said, dude, the whole point of this is because we're so deluded to come to the same geographic area so we can make a difference. And further, you're living in the least free state of all of them. So no libertarian who's sane is going to actually move in to New York. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen.
It's a horrible idea, and that's coming from one libertarian who left New York to go to New Hampshire.
Exactly.
I hated voting. Like, I absolutely despised it when I was back in my home state, Rhode Island.
Yep.
And now I really like voting. And it's only because
you can actually vote for somebody.
You can actually vote for an actual change. Like, I mean, something that's going to make a positive difference here.
You can vote for somebody you know.
Exactly.
Unlike, a bunch of strangers that want to rule over your lives, these Free Staters are actually in office, and they're doing things to reduce the size and the scope of government.
Or you might even be able to vote for New Hampshire to secede one day.
There's a chance
that's
that
a good
can
reason to
happen.
get here.
It might be on the ballot next year. And here's the thing. If that gets on the ballot, you'll be able to vote on it because you can walk into the polls, even if you move to New Hampshire the day of. You can walk into the polls and you can register to vote same day here, which you can't do in a lot of states. A lot of states you got to put in, 30, 90 days in advance or something like that. So it's a really interesting place. There's a cool little documentary called 101 Reasons Film, The 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. It's a little old at this point, but the points are still solid. And so that's the reason I moved was the 101 Reasons, not the documentary, but there used to be like a list, like a text file, basically.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and they turned that list into a really cool hour-long documentary film back in 2014. But some of the things are definitely still true, like all the political system very accessible. There's no income tax, no state sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they even reduced the meals and rooms tax this year, and they're eliminating other taxes entirely. It's
Where do you hear that happening in other places in the country? It doesn't happen.
Taxes
anywhere.
don't go down.
Nope.
I mean, that's just generally a rule.
And to be honest, it wouldn't have happened here either if it wasn't for the Free State
Staters.
migration.
Yeah.
Come help.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we go on here. You've been dealing with some serious corruption in Charlestown, New Hampshire. You've got a YouTube channel and a Odyssey channel, Breaking the Flaw.
Yes.
You teamed up with a guy named Press NH Now, also Footloose, who we had on earlier from Absolute Defiance. You guys have been going down there to expose some of the crooks in Charlestown, New Hampshire. Just another crappy little New Hampshire town. And
it could be nice. It could be nice. I'm trying to say positive that there's a lot of good people there.
That's a good point. When I say crappy, I mean because of the government. These guys just destroy all the good things out there.
Let's get into what happened today.
Yeah. So what happened after you guys were threatened last night? Tires were slashed on Press NH Now's car.
Right.
You went back.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that I brought Press NH Now home last night because the shop wasn't open to fix his tires. So I brought him. Actually, I didn't end up bringing him back. That was the plan. He rode with somebody else. Whatever. But we went there. Press had asked me, "Hey, would you like to, do an audit at the town clerk, the town offices?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's do it." So I went there. I went inside. I did my little film. I did a records request, and I did a records request of all their salaries. Every public official in town's salary. And that's probably available right there and then. But I want them to email me it, and then after I file that,
they're going to take 30 days. They always.
Well, that's fine. I don't care. At least they're doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I did the records request, I asked the lady right there. I was like, "Hey, how much do you make? How much you make?" And she's like, "That's personal information." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, this is public information. You could just tell me now, and I don't have to wait for my records request." Right? And she didn't really like it very much, but she understood I was coming from after it came that. She got kind of standoffish, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." But so yeah, we had some interesting stuff. The audit went pretty well.
So how much does she make?
I don't know yet. She didn't tell me. She didn't want to say on hand, and I was like, "All right, I'll just wait for it." All right,
you'll find out.
Yeah. And I had met this gentleman in the lobby, and he had a Second Amendment hat on, and he became very key witness to many things that happened after this. So the audit went well.
Yep.
And I saw Jeff that assaulted Press NH Now a few days before.
This is the town selectman, head of the
chair.
select board.
Yep.
Okay.
He was in there. I'm surprised he's still working. I think he was cleaning toilets by now. That's what I was saying to him. Like, "Hey, those toilets clean?" Because I don't think you should be working this job anymore. So yeah, we went outside and we started filming, and then one guy probably around 30 years old, he came up behind Preston Inch Now and gave him a nice body check, and I have it all on film.
Wow.
And Preston didn't see it coming. And I warned the guy, you touch my friend again, you're gonna get pepper. You're gonna get the pepper spray in the face. And I basically, can I say the B word?
Yeah.
Okay, so I kept on calling him a bitch.
Okay.
and until he left.
Okay.
And I thought what he was doing was very cowardly. He just wanted to. He just literally just came up to assault us, and he had also played some music to try to get us on the copyright for YouTube. This is why I don't like YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, they're trying to pull all the tricks.
So petty.
Yeah, and Preston doesn't let me talking about that because then public officials are going to stop playing music and stuff, and that's fine because you know what? It just really shows more of their character if they want to play that game. And then after that, this got really interesting. We started walking down the road, heading toward to where the police chief's son kind of was hanging out the day before, where his van was parked, or the one he drove. I don't know if it is his van or not, but it had paper plates on it. It was like the kid was getting away with everything. I don't know how he did it, but then this young gentleman, I wouldn't say he's a gentleman actually, young punk, this punk, decided to mouth off at us, and we're like, yeah, well, it's all right? That's usually what we come back
What is he yelling at you for? Recording video?
Like I won't get the profanity part, but he's like, you shouldn't be coming to our town and messing with us, right? Generally that's what he's saying, and the next thing you know, because we're
and you guys are walking down the street recording, right? So
yes,
this is on video.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm responding back to him. We're both responding back to him. Then all of a sudden, the kid throws a full set can of soda.
Whoa.
At Press NH Now, it misses him. It splatters over the ground. And then the next thing you know, he's throwing his next bottle at me, which was a plastic bottle, like a fruit drink or something.
That's like a serious attack.
Yeah, this
right?
is assault, and this is a first degree assault because he purposely came down to us to attack us.
You can seriously hurt somebody, right? Like if a full can of beer or a full can of soda hits somebody in the head, I mean, that is a severe potential for a concussion and injury.
And then wait until you hear what happens next.
Oh my God, we're going to continue.
This is very unfortunate, I got to tell you.
603-283-6160. Some of these people, they freak out because you got a camera. Like, whether you're a First Amendment auditor or not, they just freak. I don't know if they think their soul's going to get stolen by it or what I think.
I don't know.
But there's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Fork Fest takes place the week after Pork Fest, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The number is 603-283-6160. We're talking about small-town corruption. You want to see it for yourself? Just bring a video camera to town hall.
Actually, I don't suggest that.
Oh, well,
I mean,
you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you got to be prepared to go to this town at this point.
Yeah, and it's always good to. I just mean any town. You know, you want to see you want to see the corrupt people come out of the woodwork. Just bring a video camera and start pointing it around and asking questions. And they hate that stuff.
Yeah, video cameras preserve the truth.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I can't even lie anymore, guys, because my camera captures everything.
And these people don't like the truth. They hate it.
They hate it.
They normally get away with threatening people. They get away with all kinds of corruption because no one calls them on it. They have no way of publicizing it. They just get abused. Like you're talking about some of these townies that were on your side because they've been screwed.
We
by
gained
these
some townies joining us and being by our side while all things was going down.
Because they know the corruption's there. It's just they feel like there's nothing. The old saying is you can't fight City Hall. And there's a reason why that saying exists, because it feels like to one guy in a small town or even in a big city that they have all the power and you have nothing.
That's right.
But as soon as you start bringing a camera out, the tide turns and you find out how desperate and crazy these people are. And we're going to continue your story here, Joa. And a lot of this is, all of it is documented over on Breaking the Flaw, which is your YouTube and Odyssey channel, as well as Press NH Now and Absolute Defiance. This is where some of the videos are that we've been talking about throughout the show tonight. Also, I do want to say real quick thanks to Jack Glansberg, who is a Free Talk Live, one of our new amps from our Patreon, which we launched a couple of weeks ago. So thank you, Jack, for signing up for $5 a month over at amps.freetalklive.com. That takes you right to our Patreon page, and you can get behind what we do here on Free Talk Live and get some cool perks and some bennies by doing that. So thank you, Jack. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com. We go to more here. We got a guy on the line. Actually, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit more, and because the guy on the line here, which I'm gonna bring him on in just a moment, says he was there for this.
Yeah.
But I want you to get up to the point at which he comes into the story.
Sure. Yeah.
You're in Charlestown, New Hampshire, back again today with Press NH Now, walking down the street after going and filing some papers at Town Hall for a 91A Freedom of Information request, and you just start getting heckled and assaulted and battered on the streets by just random townies.
Yeah, so we had the bottles thrown at us. We just talked about that, and
which is insanely dangerous, by the way. I mean, that I don't know what the potential. I don't know if that's like potential manslaughter or what that charge is, because you could kill somebody if you took.
If that soda can hit Press's head, he'd be out for sure. But what happened next, though, after he threw those bottles? I was telling him, like,
this guy's a young hothead.
Yeah, he's about 15 years old.
Okay.
So this is like, we're being careful.
Somebody's brother, the police chief's cousin.
Something.
Yeah, something like that.
And what ended up happening is we were keeping our distance from the kid.
Sure.
But he was starting to walk away, but we were keeping our distance while walking in the same direction. Because, we were heading back that way anyways. So we were having back and forth verbal about, I was just telling him you need to, understand morals and principles, start adopting them yourself, and, start learning about freedom. And what you did is assault. And I was going on him. and I was letting them know, like, you don't want to do this because I've covered stories from the Sununu Youth Detention Center, and they're not good, and so these kids definitely need to be careful because that's pretty scary. But what ended up happening next? The kids started to approach us, and Press NH Now is like, "Go ahead, swing at me if you want to swing at me. See what's going to happen." Right? Next thing you know, kid swings, hits his camera, goes flying across the street, and Press NH Now, he had to do it because the kid was about to attack him further.
Right?
Peppered him, put pepper spray into his face and his mouth, all over on his face, and the kid continued to attack.
Wow.
And they were getting into a little scuffle in the street. Press was just trying to get away. And the kid was really trying to attack him. He ripped his sweatshirt. Press NH Now, he got 2 of his knees are bloody, his palm split open. And it's really unfortunate because, like, we don't want to do this to a kid, right? But he chose to attack. Sure, and we need to defend ourselves. And this is the only thing that we could do. Actually, even the chief of police, which we don't really want to have contact with because of the conflict of interest that's going on in Press NH Now's case, actually showed up and really wanted to handle the situation. And he actually, it seemed like he's coming around because he started to follow our channels. And
I don't know if that means anything.
And he started to appreciate everything that we're doing. And he started to get it.
He's clicking like. He's clicking like, and he's commenting.
He's just downloading evidence. That's all.
And I got to give him some credit. I like to think that this guy can turn himself around and not be so corrupt. But I do
appreciate your optimism.
I think he needs to retire. That's what I really do think, because the way he acted toward Press.
Okay, so they're fighting in the street.
Yes.
What happened?
And so the kid ends up just being laying down face first in the grass.
Did anybody else step in to break this fight up, or was it like?
Well, there was some people down the street that were like mad at us for supposedly attacking the kid. But if anything, this kid had attacked us first. He attacked us 3 times at this point.
Wow.
Right, 2 bottles, and then hit my friend Press.
Right.
So he attacked us 3 times, and Press had to do what he had to do to get the kid from further attack and abuse. And so the police chief showed up pretty quick. And actually, before I don't know, I think they're probably watching the live stream at this point.
Right.
I'm sure they're watching, or maybe one of the supporters called when we told them not to, right? But the kid actually got taken away by someone he knew, I guess, and they brought him to the hospital. And this is really where it gets interesting too, is that the chief of police was there administering Press NH Now's wounds, and they had called the ambulance. The ambulance shows up. Now, the chief of police is sitting there, like talking to us in front of his cruiser. There's a lady that came by, drives up behind his cruiser, gets out, and says, "F with my family, we're gonna F with you. That kid's mom is bringing a weapon right now."
Right in front of the police chief.
I know, right? And he knows about this happening, and he didn't take any action. Like, we're like in dire threat right now. Like, the people are threatening us right there on the street. Another person directly in private told the police chief some things he wanted to do with me and my friend. And he let him go too. Like,
this cop sounds like pure garbage.
He was trying to.
Thank God he's coming around by watching your YouTube channel.
It seemed like he was trying to keep things as much civil as possible. I get it, but like, he needs to take action. Like, some people are making threats. You need to take action. That's
so
your
this
job.
woman says the mom of this kid is going to come down with a weapon.
That's right. Yes.
And the police chief does what? What did he do?
Absolutely nothing. Well, he said that he was going to go back to the station.
Did she show up? Did this woman show up?
No one showed up, but there was plenty of locals around the corner.
I want to bring one of them on here. Boston is calling in. He said he was driving home, happened to hear the show.
Yes.
Boston, you're on Free Talk Live. You were there for this. What happened?
Hey, Flaw, how's it going?
Adrenaline's still pumping from it. Tell you that.
All right. I don't know. I was the one that I recorded that little interaction with the girl, and you had recorded it from my phone, and it was fireworks, man. The children, I kept saying it's like the children of the corn were coming out. I mean, there were toothless kids all over the place coming at us. So.
God. Now hold on.
It was crazy.
Now, were you a fan of Joa prior to today, or did you just happen to meet him in the streets in Charlestown?
I don't answer questions.
I would say that this is the first time I ever met you. I didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
I guess I figured out later on. You know, you were the one that was in the town office there, and I really didn't know
Everybody
who you were.
likes my hat.
Oh yeah.
What's the hat say?
I've never.
What'd your hat say?
2A, baby. Second Amendment.
Oh yeah.
Second Amendment.
Oh,
Of course you're gonna have people loving that in New Hampshire. I mean, in New Hampshire, people love their guns for sure.
Yep,
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's it's interesting because I've never met Flaw before today, and I actually have it recorded on my phone. The girl rolled up, and she apparently. I was talking to another guy who was sitting out there, young guy, 19 years old. His name is Michael. Him and I were talking. We're just sitting by, bystanders, and I said, are you with these guys? He said, no, I just like watching them. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, oh, well, they have an online channel, and they do this stuff where they go out. And I said, oh, great. And I started asking him questions. I said, do you know these other people? He says, oh, yeah, I've grown up in this town, and they're really bad apples, and they're always getting into trouble. And so this girl rolls up, and I'm standing there next to the 19-year-old kid, Michael, and she says something of the effect of, I want the guy who pepper sprayed the minor.
Stand by. If you can, Boston, we're going to bring you back. If you got time, can you stick with us? All right.
Sure.
More coming up here in moments. He's going to kind of recount what happened here and this insane small town lunatics coming out of the woodwork.
Children of the Corn.
To attack the two guys with video cameras and walking down Main Street. There's more coming up here. Hour 3's on the way. Plus Kyle Rittenhouse's trial on the way.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. The U.S. Justice Department has sued the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. The voting restrictions limit the ability of Texans to cast their ballots by mail, among other things. The lawsuit is the second attempt by the Biden administration to legally challenge new voting restrictions in Republican-controlled states. A U.S. court has selected an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting an African-American man. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in the state of Georgia when he was pursued and fatally shot. FSN's U.S. correspondent Nick Harper reports.
More than a quarter of the population of Glynn County, where the trial is taking place, is black, but only one black juror has been seated, along with 11 white jurors. Prosecutors argue race was a motivating factor in the killing of Mr. Aubrey. The 3 men charged with his murder, one of whom filmed the incident, have denied the charges. They told police they believe Mr. Aubrey was a suspect in a series of alleged break-ins and were attempting to make a citizen's arrest. The trial gets underway on Friday.
The European Parliament has sent its first official delegation to Taiwan as part of efforts to foster closer ties with the island. The move has prompted anger from Beijing, which has urged the EU to correct its mistakes. FSN's Lucy Hoff has more from Brussels.
The 3-day visit of members of the European Parliament includes exchanges with Taiwanese officials on threats such as disinformation and cyber attacks. The French MEP Raphael Glucksmann, leading the delegation, said that this was about showing support for Taiwan in defence of rule of law and human dignity. The MEPs are also interested in Taiwan's economic capabilities, given that it produces an estimated 90% of the world's semiconductors. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said in a statement on Thursday that Europe should correct its mistakes with the visit. The Foreign Ministry said that the fact that Taiwan is part of China cannot be changed.
Stronger than expected labor market data helped propel the U.S. markets to another day of gains, and investors remain in a buoyant mood following the Federal Reserve's decision to taper its bond buying program. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced it was curtailing its $120 billion a month asset buying program. The news was expected, but investors are encouraged by the Fed's indication that it remains prepared to stay patient when it comes to a decision on raising interest rates. The Dow Jones fell 0.1% Thursday, but the S&P rose 0.4% to extend a hot streak into a 6th day and move further into record territory. The Nasdaq also closed the day up 0.8%.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today at the COVID-19 situation in China. The country is facing its worst outbreak since the pandemic began in Wuhan around 2 years ago. The Delta variant has now been identified in more than half the country's provinces, and that's despite a zero-tolerance approach to COVID, which has essentially cut the country off from the outside world. Even tighter curbs are being introduced in Beijing, which is due to serve as the scene for a meeting of the highest-ranking Chinese Communist Party officials. It's due to take place next week. FSN's Patrick Fock is our Beijing bureau chief.
It has picked up really quite quickly over the last couple of weeks, and it's also spread to 19 of China's 31 provinces. And of course, as you can imagine, with the Beijing Olympics around the corner, authorities are particularly concerned about that and doing everything they can to try and stamp out this latest outbreak. And, you know, you can certainly feel it here in the capital with security guards making sure that they're taking down your temperature and also making sure that you've got your QR health code and making sure people are wearing face masks as well. That's been noticeably more serious in recent days.
It's unclear how China thinks it can reopen to the outside world while the country's fears of a mass COVID outbreak remain. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. The U.S. Justice Department sues the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. A U.S. court selects an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting black man Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. And the European Parliament sends its first official delegation to Taiwan, prompting anger from Beijing. That is the latest feature story news. Ira Spitzer reports.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A report by Stanford University researchers released Thursday found that Americans spend 90% of their waking hours staring at glowing rectangles. Researchers identified more than 30 varieties of iridescent rectangles, ranging from personal and work rectangles to rectangles that heat food and those that can fit right in one's pocket.
From the moment Americans wake up, they are captivated by these bright, pulsing rectangles. In fact, if you look at the data, it's hard to find a single minute when the public isn't captivated by these, I'm sorry, where were we?
In local news, a run-over squirrel is remembered as frantic and indecisive. And in other news, a trail of rose petals leads a wife to a sink full of dishes. Prince Fielder reports to spring training exactly the right amount overweight, and a local yard sale reeks of divorce. If you don't hear the sound of my voice the same time next week, alert my family and then visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and we're here kicking off the third hour of the program. Open phones if you want to join us. You can bring up anything you want. We've been focusing on some pretty serious small-town corruption happening in Charlestown, New Hampshire, where First Amendment auditors, including our very own Joa here from Breaking the Flaw on YouTube and Odyssey and Press NH Now, were attacked and attempted to be murdered on the streets. I mean, you get connected with basically a brick to the head. I mean, dude was throwing full cans of soda.
One can,
apparently.
one bottle, plastic bottle.
I mean, if a can of beer, a can of soda hits somebody in the head, it could kill them.
Oh yeah,
just depends. And that happened this afternoon in Charlestown, New Hampshire. This was after already. Dude got his Press NH Now had his tires slashed last night outside of a city council meeting or town council meeting. And this was all after a town council boss man came out and actually attacked Press NH Now and stole his camera from him and his gimbal.
Well, you missed one key thing. The chief's son threatened him,
and
then right after the tires are being are noticeably slashed. And I'm putting one and one together here.
Yeah, that seems pretty clear.
Yeah,
and we didn't even talk about how there was like a biker gang that apparently got called out to intimidate you. So that happened. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. As we continue here, we're going to bring Boston back on the line. He's up there in Charlestown. He was there today and witnessed some of the craziness that happened in the streets, where a woman apparently rolled up after a kid, a 15-year-old, threw these things at you guys.
Yes.
Threw the can of soda and such at you, and then he proceeded to then attack Press NH Now physically.
Yes.
There was a scuffle.
Well, a pepper spraying, then scuffle.
Yep.
After the attack, Press NH Now pepper sprayed, and then the kid went full-fledged attack, went for his torso, and they went to the ground for a moment. And Press NH Now was just trying to get away, trying to just defend himself, not trying to hurt the kid. That was not the intention. I mean, other than the fact that the pepper spray, and actually the chief of police said, yeah, the pepper spray is probably the most appropriate thing you could have done there.
So, Boston, you're on the line here. You saw some of this happening. You saw this woman roll up right after the attack while the police chief is there, get out of a car or whatever and say, hey, what happened? Tell us about it.
Yeah, let me put it in a context. This is I would estimate a 16 to 18-year-old young girl. Apparently, she was the sister of the kid that got sprayed. And she rolls up, and I can understand a sister being concerned about her brother and such.
Sure.
But she rolls up, pops out of her door, and she's talking to me and 19-year-old Michael standing next to me. In essence, we're both kind of bystanders, just looking at things. I started recording because I'm not stupid.
Right.
So anyway, she says, "Hey, I want to give you guys a message for the guy who
don't swear, but go ahead.
Yeah. Remember, we're on the radio.
Yeah, who sprayed the minor?" And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, my message is that if you F with my family, we're going to F with you. And by the way, my mother's coming down here, and she has a weapon." And to that, me and the 19-year-old Michael kind of standing there kind of said, "Well, would you mind telling that to the police officer standing 15 feet away?"
The police chief, right? He was right there within probably 15 feet.
He's barely out of earshot. So anyway, she gets her, and the sad thing is, this poor girl is somebody's daughter. She's 16, 18 years old. I'm sure somewhere in her brain she's trying to justify this, but it's just sad that this little girl has that warped of thinking to go around tossing threats out. It's crazy. So I walk my happy self about 10 feet over, And the police chief was there, and I said, hey, by the way, why don't I fill you in on what she just said? And Michael walked right next to me, and I said, this is what she said. Michael said, yeah, that's exactly what she said. I showed the police chief the video, and I said, what is going to be done about this? And he basically said he would follow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and,
it's not like immediate, threats that are going to happen like right there. Like as soon as he leaves, this could have happened, right? I mean, they're threatening right there on the spot. They're in the heat of the moment. They're going to want to do things,
Yeah, that is textbook criminal threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, she, I mean, on two levels. One, I don't know where in her brain she thought that was a good idea to threaten. Second of all, I can empathize with the fact that, she probably heard 10% of the story, and she probably heard, oh, my brother got pepper sprayed, and he never did anything to anybody, which is complete bull.
Right.
But,
So where did this go from there? Did it dissipate?
Well,
Everybody go home, or did something else happen?
Yes.
No, there were more children of the corn that started pouring out into the streets.
Well, actually,
there was.
When the scuffle occurred and it was just about breaking up and the kids really suffering from the pepper spray here, he actually picks up Preston H. Now's phone and chucks it again, and then when it lands, and then another kid on a bicycle picks up the phone and just tosses it up in the air again.
Wow.
I didn't know where it went. So there was another kid, and I started calling him he's also a I forget what word I use now. Oh my God, I forgot. But I was like, that guy is also involved.
He's in on it. He's a conspirator.
Yeah, he's a perpetrator. That's what I said. He's a perpetrator too, and he starts riding his bike away really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The phone's fine, honestly.
Really?
And,
wow. I was going to say, how many phones does this guy go through every year?
It's got a good case on that thing.
Wow.
It's been chucked a few times at this point.
Hey,
But
I'll tell you what. Around every corner, there was a half a dozen of the Charlestown Children of the Corn gathering to chit-chat about what was going on. And they were clearly trying to figure out what they could get away with and what they could do.
Wow.
Using their minor status, too, which is really, unfortunate. They know that they can get away with things as being a minor, but
that's right. Yeah.
I'll warn them that the Sununu Youth Detention Center will gang rape you at gunpoint.
Yeah. Well, most of them, though, I think Flaw would agree. Most of them were adults. There were some youth cruising around that, But I did remember. I don't know if you remember me pointing out the chief's deputy. What was the condition of his tires, by the way, Flaw?
The condition of, I don't know exactly how they went flat. I'm going to guess it's the valve stems, but I don't think. What's that?
No, remember I pointed out to you the deputy rolled up next to us, and he got out and he was looking at things, and I said, hey, before you do anything, deputy, have you taken a look at your tires lately? They were bald.
Oh, that guy's tires. Yeah, I love going into police parking lots and doing quality control checks on their vehicles, including checking their inspections and checking their tire treads. That's definitely one of them, and I'll fingernail.
That's dangerous, yeah.
And I'll check if my fingernail can't scrape that top of the surface. It's a problem.
Boston, was there anything else?
They were bald. Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to share about your experience today?
That's about it. I just wanted to call in and I guess lend a little context to it. It was kind of sad. I mean, Press was assaulted again, and he didn't deserve that. And
no, nobody deserves to be assaulted for walking down the street with a video camera. Thank you, Boston, for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks for giving your perspective on it.
I'm not apologetic at all what happened to that kid. I just think it's very unfortunate it happened, and I didn't want that to happen to the kid, and I didn't want to be assaulted either. But this kid should have realized that there's going to be some repercussions to his actions, and unfortunately, his third attack is what that's what it took. You're going to get.
But he didn't leave in handcuffs, right? There's nothing that happened.
Oh no,
to him yet.
he got picked up by someone he knew and brought to the hospital, and then someone later on, was saying that this kid went to the hospital, and he's like, well, whatever. But he's gonna recover pretty fast. That the burning eyes and the mouth is gonna end. Preston H. now has open wounds.
Wow.
That is going to take a lot longer time than pepper spray healing.
All right, so coming up, Kyle Rittenhouse. We're going to find out what's going on with that trial. It's a big one. A lot of people are paying attention to it. You probably know his name. He's that kid last year that shot some people, and allegedly in self-defense. We'll talk about it coming up. We're on the way. 603-283-6160. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Coming up, Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager who was in the streets. It was, Minneapolis? Was that where he was at the time?
Yep.
Which, by the way, Minneapolis voters just recently voted against replacing the police department. So it was like 56% or something like that.
Well, the one that burned down?
No, I mean replacing them with like another bureaucracy. So like abolishing the police department and creating a public safety department.
Garbage.
Okay. Whatever that would mean.
Other cops.
But they vote. Yeah, it's cops by another name.
It's all going to be the same dudes.
Yeah. It's cops by another name. I mean, look, they call the state troopers here in New Hampshire, the organization for which they work is called the Department of Safety. So, renaming the police to another thing is ultimately meaningless. I mean, even if they make some superficial changes, it's still the same old game. And anyway, the voters didn't go for it. But we can talk more about what's going on with the Kyle Rittenhouse case coming up here in moments. Of course, open phones, which means you can call in about whatever's on your mind. Plus, it's never a good idea to keep much cryptocurrency on your phone. Not only is it too easy to spend, but someone could hack your device or just outright take it from you. The question of, or some jackball could throw the phone and then, you got to go back up the wallets. And anyway, so the question of how to safely store cryptocurrency was answered long ago. And now Bitbox has given an even better answer. It's a hardware wallet that is completely open source, and it doesn't have some of the problems that some of the other hardware wallets might have. Soon, we're going to be giving away 3 of the latest versions of the Bitbox, but if you don't want to wait or take your chances in a giveaway, head over to box.freetalklive.com to purchase one of those hardware wallets from Bitbox and use code FTL like Free Talk Live for a 5% discount at box.freetalklive.com. We go to your calls and thoughts. Rob is on the line in Vermont. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, guys. How you doing this evening?
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, your last ending there when you were talking about naming the cops, I just call them road pirates.
Road pirates.
That's exactly what they are.
Nice.
Hey, I wanted to tell you, I went over to Charlestown last night because I watched a lot of this on YouTube unfold.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you.
And you live like basically across the river. I mean, you're not far from there. It's probably a short drive.
Yeah, about 8 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that far.
So you saw the action starting up last night at the Charlestown Council meeting where people were threatening Press NH Now and Absolute Defiance's Footloose and our very own Joa there outside of the meeting, and you came over.
Yeah, I saw that, there was a lot of disrespecting going on. And, I mean, there's a pattern here. See, I've been watching these auditing videos that are on YouTube. They're throughout the United States, and they're activists that go to, like, the Superior Courthouse or the state prison or what have you, and and they want to check and see if they're if they can audit, and the pattern is that everybody that when they go there and they approach these individuals, it's you can tell that they've all been conditioned. Even the people that over in Charlestown, the people that have been there for a long time, they've just all been conditioned to believe, what they've been told.
Mm-hmm.
I got there, towards the end of it. There was, some words exchanged and stuff like that. But I mean, I think that kid should be lucky that it was pepper spray that was sprayed at him and not hornet spray.
Agreed.
A lot of the obedience comes from the government indoctrination camps out there. I mean, they're training people to believe in the government, to love the state, and luckily we're here in New Hampshire, which is still, it has that live free or die spirit. There's still plenty of people that know the government is bad news, and they're corrupt as hell, and they don't trust them. But there are still people who that brainwashing does work on them.
Like, you remember last night, like, we were definitely getting heated in our talks, and, like, we all have loud voices, especially Footloose, and talks fairly loud. It seemed like we were coming across them, even though we seemed kind of heated in the moment type of thing, and people were understanding what we were saying. We weren't going back at them with, like, straw man arguments, like, people just calling us swears and stuff. We were actually presenting like a real argument, and I literally, like, some of the townies were just walking from one side over to our side and facing the opposite direction, like, naturally. It wasn't like we asked them or anything; they just came over. It was beautiful.
They saw you were making sense.
Oh,
Rob, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Let's go to Tom. He's in Baltimore. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I like those audit videos. Every once in a while, you'll find that a government official or a cop actually, is a pretty decent person and answers the questions and is respectful.
They're out there.
And,
yeah, every now and then.
And we'll praise them for it, too.
Sure. And Tom, you're a former
It's
cop.
okay.
For listeners that don't know, you're a former cop in the Baltimore area. Anyway, go ahead with your call tonight.
It's a very small percentage, by the way, of the ones who actually act right, unfortunately. I admit to that.
Yep.
By the way, also, before I get to my reason for calling, you guys are hysterical. Whoever made the comment about more children of the corn came out.
That's great.
That was a caller, actually.
That was Boston, the guy that helped me today, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
And Jack Ball, that's going to be my new term for knucklehead.
That's a good one.
I think that was you, Ann.
Yep.
And anyway, I was wondering, I got a text from Pete Santilli literally within the past 15 minutes about Jerry DeLamus. He's from New Hampshire. He's a former Marine. He got a new release date. He was being called a political prisoner.
This is the guy who went to prison based on attending the protests out in Nevada at the Clive and Bundy Ranch way back in 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
He unfortunately took a guilty plea, whereas most of the people who went with not guilty actually won at a jury trial. So unfortunately, he should have not taken that plea, as I understand it. So they sentenced him to several years in prison, and you've got an update. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, speaking of what you just said, Ian, Pete Santilli was one of the ones who would not take the plea,
right,
and was acquitted.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I believe you're right. Jerry did take a guilty plea. He got a new release date. He'll be coming home instead of May of 22. He'll be coming home in a couple days, November 9th.
Wow.
Oh, good for him. He never hurt anybody, by the way. You know, he didn't actually shoot anybody or hurt anybody in any way, shape, or form. But they put him away for several years.
Not to distract from your call, but you should have him call in.
He could.
Yeah, he was not even part of the standoff with the Bureau of Land Management. He went down there, and the sheriff had intervened, and he came home. And he, along with dozens of other people, were then arrested by the FBI. Speaking of which, the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, I don't know if you're aware of this, but apparently the FBI did another number illegally. They committed a Brady violation in that they did not, during discovery, disclose that they had actual high-definition video of Kyle being shot at prior to him firing.
Was this the drone video or whatever?
This was a street video, and he was hiding behind a car, I think, when this all went down.
We're going to talk about it. Matt, I imagine you've heard about this?
A little bit. I don't know if I have enough to speak about it on a deep level. But
Tom, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. That's Tom there in Baltimore. Open phones, of course. Kyle Rittenhouse, we do have to talk about that coming up as well. You can bring up what you want here on Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. The U.S. Justice Department has sued the state of Texas over its new voting law on the grounds that it disenfranchises voters. The voting restrictions limit the ability of Texans to cast their ballots by mail, among other things. The lawsuit is the second attempt by the Biden administration to legally challenge new voting restrictions in Republican-controlled states. A U.S. court has selected an almost entirely white jury in the trial of 3 white men accused of chasing down and shooting an African-American man. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in the state of Georgia when he was pursued and fatally shot. FSN's U.S. correspondent Nick Harper reports.
More than a quarter of the population of Glynn County, where the trial is taking place, is black, but only one black juror has been seated, along with 11 white jurors. Prosecutors argue race was a motivating factor in the killing of Mr. Arbery. The 3 men charged with his murder, one of whom filmed the incident, have denied the charges. They told police they believe Mr. Arbery was a suspect in a series of alleged break-ins and were attempting to make a citizen's arrest. The trial gets underway on Friday.
The European Parliament has sent its first official delegation to Taiwan as part of efforts to foster closer ties with the island. The move has prompted anger from Beijing, which has urged the EU to correct its mistakes. FSN's Lucy Hoff has more from Brussels.
The 3-day visit of members of the European Parliament includes exchanges with Taiwanese officials on threats such as disinformation and cyber attacks. The French MEP Raphael Glucksmann, leading the delegation, said that this was about showing support for Taiwan in defense of rule of law and human dignity. The MEPs are also interested in Taiwan's economic capabilities, given that it produces an estimated 90% of the world's semiconductors. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said in a statement on Thursday that Europe should correct its mistakes with the visit. The Foreign Ministry said that the fact that Taiwan is part of China cannot be changed.
Stronger than expected labor market data helped propel the U.S. markets to another day of gains, and investors remain in a buoyant mood following the Federal Reserve's decision to taper its bond buying program. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced it was curtailing its $120 billion a month asset buying program. The news was expected, but investors are encouraged by the Fed's indication that it remains prepared to stay patient when it comes to a decision on raising interest rates. The Dow Jones fell 0.1% Thursday, but the S&P rose 0.4% to extend a hot streak into a 6th day and move further into record territory. The Nasdaq also closed the day up 0.8%.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Open phones. If you want to join us here, the number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial is happening. I don't know for how long it's expected to go, but it's, federal court, so it's probably going to be a little while. We can talk in detail about that. In fact, we're already getting calls on the subject. Of course, you're welcome to join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Matt, and Joa.
Don't forget, you can join us online. Head over to freetalklive.com. We got archives that you can download. There's a neat little widget. We blew up the website a couple weeks ago, and this is a new site. So things are a little bit different than they were before. There's a little podcast player widget on the left-hand side of the site. If you're on mobile, you're going to have to scroll down a little ways. You'll find it. And then that's got the latest episodes on it. You just click the share button, and then the download link or the download icon will appear. You can download directly there. And, of course, if you want to, the best way to receive our archives is via our podcast. And you can find that over at feeds.freetalklive.com, and then just pop that podcast URL, that RSS feed, right into your favorite podcast client, and then you will get automatically the Free Talk Live episodes as they are released. You don't have to go and download them manually. But it's up to you how you want to receive them. You can go to freetalklive.com and check out all the options there. Of course, we stream live on various different platforms as well. We're going to go back to your calls and thoughts. Speaking of Kyle Rittenhouse, we've got Uncle Tom on the line calling from Indiana. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
How are you?
I'm another day in the belly of the beast,
That a boy.
I'm just going to be blunt with you. Kyle Rittenhouse needs to go to jail.
Really?
If I'd have done that, if my son had done that, if my grandson had done that, they would not have been offered a bottle of water. They'd have been offered a bullet, a hot one. You guys know it, and I know it. And for anyone to pretend that it's not that way, they're lying to themselves and they're lying to the world. You got a jury of 12 primaries and 8 alternates, and you couldn't find but one Negro in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Dude, I got relatives in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Oh, yeah. They could have found more than one Negro, but they didn't want to. This is a setup. And I'm going to let you know, if it goes down like I think, black folks are unhappy already, and they're going to be real unhappy.
Now, hold on a second.
Let this fool go.
Now, it's been a while since I've heard the alleged, allegations or alleged facts in the case. Kyle Rittenhouse, did he even shoot any black people?
That's not the point. He was at a Black Lives Rally Black Lives Matter rally with a loaded AR across state lines from where he lives. I've seen the video of him sitting there with somebody else in a car saying, man, I wish I had my AR, I'd shoot him. No, that's what he was there for, period, dot. I don't care about his age. I don't care about nothing else.
Well, I believe
if they let him go, black folks are going to act a friggin' fool, bruh.
Really?
We are tired of being treated like we don't count.
Well, you definitely do, and it doesn't matter if you're black or not. And I think everyone's individual. And I just want to make a point about what his intention was, or at least what he expressed. I'm not supporting it one way or another, but
where did he express this? Was this a year ago when he expressed it, or recently?
I think in his testimony,
he's testified.
Well, I think he went in front of like a grand jury or something like that, He expressed himself. Oh no, he expressed himself at the event itself. So he actually interviewed on the street with someone.
Okay.
He specifically said that he was there to protect the dealership because another dealership, car dealership, was cars were burned. The building was burned down, so he wanted to protect another business. That's what his intention was. At least what he expressed in an interview on the streets.
That's called plausible deniability. In other words, it's a good lie. It's a convenient lie, but it's not the truth.
So you believe that he went there to shoot protesters?
I believe he went there wanting to get a reason, or what his little infantile mind thought would be a legitimate reason. And the first time he saw it, he took it.
Do you believe that people should be able to open carry? I mean, I know it was a vulnerable situation, but
dude, I open carry everywhere I go. Have since I was 23. I've been carrying a gun longer than most of y'all been alive. So yeah, I believe in open carry. But I don't believe in 17-year-olds walking down the street with a gun they're not even old enough to purchase. That's going to be.
I'm actually surprised to hear this from you.
I am too. I'm wondering if you're trolling us right now. Are you serious?
Absolutely serious, bro. I'm a 60-year-old black man who's been under the police's pistol more times than I can count, simply for being a Negro in the right place.
I understand where you're coming from. That's unfortunate it's happened to you, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. I would say, I don't know if you want to consider like the devil's advocate for Rittenhouse here, but is that he definitely displayed really good trigger safety, as in he didn't ever put his finger on the trigger unless he needed to, and at least like when he thought he needed to, he definitely had good control of his gun. And he had it strapped well. I feel like that he had very appropriate manners to it. Until obviously the action, I don't think, honestly, I would never do what he did. Like, especially if you're like 17 years old, that sounds really stupid.
When you say you would never do what he did, you mean you would never have put yourself in that situation in the first place, or defended yourself against an attack? Because it looked like he was being attacked.
I
right?
certainly would rather have a whole dealership of cars in the building to burn down. Than have to kill people somebody. Die.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there. I think, Uncle Tom, you may be right. Maybe he did go to this event with a trigger, itchy trigger finger, hoping that he's going to be able to take out some leftist protesters or whatever.
Negroes, that's who he's wanting to shoot.
But he didn't.
Yeah, but he didn't. And the people who were at the the people in the crowd of people that he shot, there was like one black guy out of like 40 people. Like everybody there was white.
And he wasn't attacked by a black person.
He actually was attacked by one. There was but one out of the 4 people who attacked him. He even got shots off at the black guy, but the black guy was literally chasing him down. One of the people he got missed. Luckily, he shot 2 shots at the black guy, but the black guy got missed. The 3 people he did shoot were all white, and all 4 of them were attacking him.
Well, they were attacking him because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, underage with zero common sense.
But that's not a crime.
That's not a crime.
No common sense should be a crime, bro. Look what the devil it brought about.
But it's still not okay, right? Like if somebody's doing something stupid. No, if somebody's doing something stupid, you don't get to attack them over it.
Why not?
Because that's, a violation of their rights.
If somebody's standing in front of me doing something stupid that could hurt someone, I'm going to tell them to stop. And when they swell up, I'm going to put them on their back, bend them, spin them, and run up, bend them.
Well, who is he going to hurt? I mean, he didn't hurt anybody.
Listen. Whether it was black people or not that got shot, it was a Black Lives Matter rally. Black folks are looking at this and going, man, if they let this off, I couldn't say it on the air, but if they let this off, we ain't happy. We ain't happy. We've been getting mistreated for 402 years. We've been free for 157 on paper, and indeed for about 50.
So what you're saying is you want to demolish a white kid because he's white and you're black?
No. What I want to say is that he screwed the pooch, and if he was black, like I said, the cops wouldn't have been asking him if he wanted water.
Right.
They'd have been asking.
That's probably true.
You totally agree with that.
The police are the problem. I mean, look, the police are the enemy here. It's not Kyle Rittenhouse putting black people in cages. He's not doing that.
Guess what? Kyle Rittenhouse is a wonderful example of what's the words I want here? White privilege. Again, if that been a brown fella walking around at a riot with an AR over his shoulder, the police would not have been, hey, guy, how you doing? You okay? Would you like some water, fella?
I'm gonna correct you on that. I've seen black people and specifically the Black Guns Matter.
The Black Panthers.
The Black Guns Matter group. The Black Panthers. I don't know.
There's different groups.
No, but Black Guns Matter is like anybody with an AR-15.
Yeah, but I've seen like a group of black people carrying, and I totally support that. And I didn't see anything harmful happen to them.
No.
You know.
Well, the more black people there are carrying, the more nicer the cops are going to be.
Well, that sounds like the solution right there.
Yeah, thanks, Uncle Tom. I appreciate the call tonight. And look, the police are the problem. The police are the ones that are doing the oppressing. Kyle Rittenhouse, he's just a kid. We're coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box. So it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. Moments remain. Maybe enough time for you if you dial now. The number is 603-283-6160. It's Ian, Matt, and Joa here in the studio. Of course, you can take control of the airwaves. Talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And don't forget, you can join us online anytime over at freetalklive.com. You can get interactive on our social media site. We got a Mastodon. Maybe you've heard of Mastodon. It's getting a little bit of press now that old Donald Trump is launching his own Mastodon site. It's exactly actually what I suggested earlier in the year.
The only reason they did that is because you said Donald Trump ought to.
I doubt that was the reason.
That's how it went.
It's the smartest move he can make because it lets you run your own social media server. You don't have to ask any big tech company to do anything for you. And you get to set the rules. He gets to make the rules. We get to make our rules. And our rules are you get basically, to say what you want over at social.freetalklive.com. Unless you want to spam, in which case we're going to shut you down.
You know what it is Ian's the trend center over.
He is. Yeah, he's the shot caller.
Yeah, I was a late comer to Mastodon, honestly. It's been around for...
He basically wrote Mastodon.
No, I didn't. It's been actually it was some socialists out in I think it was like France and Germany that wrote Mastodon, and they hate it that Donald Trump is using their software. They're talking about
love it more.
Yeah, they're talking about like suing him or something like that, even though it's an open source software. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
They don't know how things work.
Yeah. So anyway, you can go join ours over at social.freetalklive.com. And the cool thing about Mastodon is they're federated unless they disfederate, unless they leave the federation, right? So by default, when you create a Mastodon, you're connected to the other Mastodon, the thousands of other Mastodon servers. So when Donald Trump inevitably gets on his new site and starts tooting, as they call it on Mastodon, then you'll be able to follow him even if you're not on his server. So you can have an account on our server and still follow him or whoever, whatever other Mastodon. So it's pretty cool.
No thanks.
Social. Yeah. Oh, I'll follow him because he's funny.
Okay.
I don't agree with his politics, but
But we need the memes.
I've been missing the entertainment.
Absolutely.
So.
Okay.
Anyway, social.freetalklive.com. Kyle Rittenhouse, he's on trial. Matt, you've been following the case. You followed it in the beginning. Can you give a recap?
Yeah. So
where are we till now?
Basically, there's a kid in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He's from right across the border in a neighboring state. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of hoo-ha about how do you get a gun if he's only 17.
Somebody gave it to him.
Yeah, his friend gave it to him, or let him borrow it, or the friend bought it for him for when he turns 18 or whatever. Who knows?
It's legal to have a gun in most places, right? If you're under 18, you just can't buy it.
Right. Correct, and I'm not sure. I think
That's
part
not
of the
legal
problem
advice.
was there is such a thing called a straw man purchase. This kind of looks like there was a straw man purchase. His friend bought it for him. You never should say that unless you're saying you're gifting it to him.
He didn't say that, did he?
He went on the stand earlier and said he bought it for him.
So he took the stand in his own trial?
Yeah, no, this is his friend that bought it for him.
Oh, the
He was
friend.
Okay. And the friend's under charges too for providing the weapon. So I mean, a lot of it's baloney, but they're gonna throw charges at anybody that they think that they can make him stick. And they'll throw dozens of them at him if they think they can get one to stick. So they're just out to make your life miserable.
So he went with a group to defend a car lot.
Yeah, he went there to in general just to prevent people from doing bad things to property. Towards the end of the night, they were called specifically to a car lot. It wasn't just him. It wasn't just Kyle Rittenhouse. It was a big group of people.
Yeah.
There was probably 15 of them, and they were met with some success. So they were just setting up a perimeter, armed people around private property, and looters sought easier targets, softer targets, which is
as they are
logical.
Want to do.
So at one point, though, Kyle Rittenhouse was actually trying to leave, and this is after the cops had already told the reporter that they were glad that he was there. They were glad that this group of people was there. They're doing a good job. They're not breaking any laws. We have nothing bad to say about them. And later on, when Kyle tried to leave, he was trying to get away from some problems. It looked like it was going to get a little bit hot. They're losing this area. It's time to just go away from it. And the cops actually stopped him and said, "You're not allowed to exit this way. You have to go back out the other direction," which is in the direction of the heat he was trying to get away from.
Oh my gosh.
So there we go with cops steering people right back into a bad situation they're trying to get away from in the first place.
They know what's best for us.
This is a common problem. We see this over and over again. This is just another one example of this, police causing issues. So sure enough, the kid gets into the middle of some snot. It's not going well. He's getting pushed around and badgered and threatened.
And he's alone, right?
This one little short, bald white guy, looks like a skinhead. And apparently the guy had a long, storied past of child molestation. And next thing you know, the kid is running away from them. A few people start chasing him. He gets tumbled in the street. He turns and fires and shoots a hole in the head of the bald child molester. That's a problem down. Now you got more people chasing him. There's another.
I just want to say, Rittenhouse, out of all the things, thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you for your Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong.
Cured some pedophilia or whatever it is.
So basically, the kid did if you watch the videos, he did a textbook job, an incredible job of defending himself from an oncoming mob of lunatics.
He didn't shoot anybody who wasn't attacking him.
He didn't even accidentally land a shot on somebody who wasn't. It was perfect. It was absolutely textbook and athletic, if I may say so. In fact, the gun he had in some of the circumstances, and two of the circumstances where he had to shoot, was not the right gun for the job. An AR-15 was too long a gun to be tumbling around.
Close combat.
Close combat. He really needed to be with a pistol at that point. But he used what he had, and he executed successfully, and it worked, and it drove lots of hordes of zombies who were chasing him away. There was one black guy that was attacking him. He took a couple of crack shots at him. That guy dodged the bullets, literally, and ran away, which is good. He didn't shoot the guy. That's great. There's one that didn't get shot and ran away, which is nice. He's not out there trying to kill people. He's out there trying to get them off of him.
Okay. Now he's facing charges.
Now he's facing all kinds of charges. Interesting. The trial's been going on for about a week as far as jury selection goes. The interesting thing is the judge has banned the words protesters or victims. No, you ban the word victims in the courtroom
because these are attackers.
Yeah, so the judge has allowed the words instead: looters and rioters.
Interesting. Okay,
that might be very appropriate. I don't know exactly on those individuals and what they were doing that day, but that sounds very appropriate.
Yeah, and so far it looks like this judge is basically kind of miffed that this came to his courtroom in the first place. And when you look at the video, they're hanging the kid. They arrested the kid to prevent a gigantic meltdown of that city. That's the only reason. The mob mentality is demanding this kid's head, but legally, everything he did was textbook perfect.
I did not like the cops' reaction to and how they brought him in. They were like laughing about the situation, that sort of thing, and I was not okay with that.
No,
and that's obviously a motivation to be angry at Rittenhouse, and I think they should really focus, maybe all the other parameters and eliminate them. Put your blinders on with them and just focus on him and how he acted, and you're going to see that he was just defending himself.
He was, and he did so very effectively and perfectly. And I don't care how old he is to have the gun because he's clearly good enough with it where he should be in possession of it.
What's the news that's come out about the FBI having secret video?
So the FBI had a spy plane at 9,000 feet, 8,500 feet
like
in the
a drone?
air. Yeah, I'm not sure I think it was a winged aircraft. I'm not sure if it was manned or not.
Okay.
But it had a FLIR, IR, and they were tracking little hot spots on the ground, which, represented a human.
Yep.
And the FBI agent in charge of that, it's controversial whether or not they should have been over that with a spy plane in the first place. But they were, because that's what the FBI does. They're just bigger scumbagger, more scumby cops, and they do what they want, whether it's legal or not, and who knows if this was or not. But
is this video going to help Kyle?
It's hard to say. Everybody's saying it's going to hurt him, and everybody's saying it's going to help him. And one thing we know for sure is that the FBI agent in charge of it testified today, but we're not allowed to know what he had to say. We can find out what all the rest of the court proceedings were today. But
why can't you find that out?
It's banned. We're not allowed to know what the FBI agent had to say in court.
This wasn't public testimony?
His testimony has been made not public.
Government officials, goon squads are pretty private, and they don't want you to know anything they're doing.
Especially the more and more.
What do they do? Kick the viewers out of the courtroom and only let the jury hear the testimony?
An FBI agent, Brandon Crayman, testified about aerial surveillance of the events in Kenosha on the night of the shooting. For security reasons, the testimony was made not public.
Whoa, that is really
weird,
creepy,
right?
It's kind of scary in my opinion because, how many times can they do this without, at least we have knowledge of it actually
and
happening.
You can go see the video. The video is released, but his testimony about it is made not public.
I see.
That seems fairly unprecedented.
Very
as far
weird.
As,
and everything about this trial is looking super kangaroo already, and the judge doesn't like it. You can tell. So this kid needs to walk.
Keep us in the loop as this develops, Matt. Of course, you guys are always welcome to call in anytime, any night, but we're out of time for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Check Breaking the Flaw on YouTube and Odyssey.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
When a lunar observatory detects a radio broadcast originating from Proxima Centauri, the nations of Earth discover their first contact with an alien race may also be their last. With the Proximans facing an extinction-level disaster, Earth must choose between sending a ship on a multi-year journey or allowing nature to take its course. Saving Proxima